Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another FGM ECast broadcast. My name is, of course, Scott Rankin, and doing the introductions tonight for the first time. And joining me, as usual, is Stuart Brown. Now, evening, Stuart. We're just having a lovely chat about our own endurance racing exploits from the weekend.
We were, indeed.
Didn't go so well for either of us, unfortunately.
No, but that is absolutely motorsport, and this is the first for us. I've got one other exciting small piece of information to bring to you, Scotty, that I did miss in the early part of this. This is our 50th stream. So we've knocked up the half century, and we're doing it in a unique way. We're doing something that we've never broadcast before, which is a little bit of dirt stuff. So dirt Midget Final for NZSR here for their development series, and pretty flattered, to be brutally honest, by the guys asking us to broadcast their final. So we're going to do the best that we can for this race tonight. I am going to profess I know very little about this. I saw Brookie Tatnall run with one of my mates in Sydney when I was a young kid, and that's about as far as my experience goes. So heavily reliant on you for your expertise in this one.
Uh-oh, that's a bad idea. But no, look, Dirt itself it's where I picked up a lot of my experience as a kid. I have a lot of experience racing motocross, which conveniently is where Craig Lowndes actually started his motorsport career.
I did know
was
that.
On motorbikes. Yeah, so yeah, look, it's not easy. With dirt, the whole it's sort of counterintuitive compared to road racing, because the whole object is to keep the car going sideways, try and maintain as much speed as you possibly can, and it's momentum. It's a lot of it's momentum and different lines, and the cars themselves react very, very differently. Something like a dirt midget doesn't actually have a wing. You'll actually see a fair few of those front left wheels actually in the air a lot of the time. That's to do with suspension.
Yep.
They're very, very soft. They sort of want to just take the bumps and go with them. And what you'll actually see throughout the evening is that, unlike regular road-based racing, you'll actually see two sort of grooves develop. You'll see a high line and a low line. What will actually happen is that the middle of the track will actually get very, very slick, and there'll be next to no grip in the middle of the track as everything sort of wears on. And that'll mean that the only place that the drivers can find grip is by running around the top of the track or running around the bottom. So, Stuart, you're in for a wild ride, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the things that does fascinate me about this, you know, you see it on Speed Week and stuff like that. It's actually a really strong sport. Obviously, this is the NZSR series, but it is a really, really strong sport in Australia as well. So one of the things that fascinates me about this is just how close the guys manage to slide the cars in between one another when they're making passes and keep it clean. I mean, obviously they make mistakes like all race car drivers do, but just in such good control of the karts to get the cars to actually get them into position to make a pass. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah, look, go-karting is. I heard you say the car. You sort of misspoke and said kart. I think a couple of times.
Yeah, I did say kart.
That's actually probably the best way to sort of relate it. Is it's a lot more like kart racing. because the cars themselves are going to be sideways for so much of the lap. You know, it's drive it in there, turn it, and try and steer it with the throttle, actually, which is, again, counterintuitive to how you want to really drive a motor car normally. But given that the front wheels, it's just sort of about trying to point the car, the rear wheels will actually decide that the more that you come off the throttle, the more the car will go wherever the car is where the front wheels are sort of pointing. The more that you're actually on the throttle, the more that the car will sort of start to come around and it'll rotate a fair bit better. But the problem with that is that you'll actually start to lose momentum. Anyone that has done any sort of drift racing or anything like that would know that as you slide the car through a corner, you're actually losing momentum. So at all times, you're sort of balancing. It's a balancing out between,
on throttle
1 and 2, basically.
On throttle balancing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I did see in the regulations for this that the series organizer asked for people to keep the top and bottom untouched until qualifying. That obviously lies into what you're talking about with. That's where, by the sounds of things, the pace will be during the race, and wanting to make sure that that's untouched so that the guys can get the best out of it. What we've got here is 24 cars in the A main race, 35-lap feature race, not including cautions. And that would assume, given that we've got 50-odd vehicles here, that there's two races. There's a heat and a main race. Is that how it would work?
That's how it's. So yeah, things sort of get broken up. You have different ways of qualifying for the main. I haven't actually run on iRacing any of the heat races and those sorts of things. I'm seeing anywhere up to sort of 5 heats, which should all be running concurrently. It shouldn't be really much of a. All of this sort of stuff will run. 1, then 2, then 3, etc. They should all be live all sort of at the same time. Then we'll have a B, C, and D main as well. A few of those, so by the look of things, it's 3 from each heat will qualify to the feature. Then those that don't qualify will get pushed into what's known as a B, C, and D main, which is sort of a repecharge style of race, and only one of those will qualify. So it's actually very similar in qualification to more of Supercross. Normally in Supercross, you end up with 2 heats feeding to a main, and then what's known as an LCQ, or a last chance qualifier, which is what the B, C, and D mains are actually going to be for us. And then it's only the top couple from those, in this case, 1 from the B, C, and D mains, that'll actually feed off into the feature race. For everyone else, it's lights out, that's it, it's done. So the drivers are going to get 2 chances to qualify for the feature. Don't qualify for the feature, game's over, go home, she's all done. Or settle in, pick up FGM ECast and watch the feature race itself.
Yeah, right. Well, it's, I'm not going to lie, that's a lot to take in for someone new to racing. So we'll try and keep our viewers, as this is a new thing to our channel, try and keep our viewers up to date on how all of that works. I'm glad you're across it, because I certainly am not. So I guess what we're looking, thanks for the follow there, guys, and the participation. I guess what we're looking for here is to understand who it is who's involved in this, just based on the timing screens. I'm not seeing anyone on track at the moment, but there's plenty in pit lane. Thanks, James Halliburton, there for the like. And but it is saying that the practice is still on, but there's no cars on track. So these guys will be doing driver's briefing. And then I guess what we're looking for is a grouping of cars to go out on track.
So qualifying will happen immediately after. Cars will be broken up into multiple groups.
Yep.
So there's obviously a maximum number of cars on track at once. They're going to get 2 laps out of a 5-minute qualifying session, so very, very similar to a NASCAR oval racing style qualifying session.
Yep.
From there, they get seeded into all of their individual heats, and it's off and running. That's my knowledge of it, and I could be wrong, so don't take me at face value there. Just sort of go, yeah.
Well, look, it sounds feasible. So we'll run with it for the minute and see how we go. But yeah, certainly sounds feasible in terms of what I've seen briefly on Speed Week and the like. So yeah, look, we're very green here. So if you know what's going on in the chat and we make some mistakes, obviously don't take us to task too hard. But we're more than happy to have you let us know what might be going on if we're getting it slightly wrong. Definitely looking forward to hopefully bringing this series to you next season as well for NZSR. Just before we get into qualifying, big thanks to SimBlacks, who are the official sponsor for this development category. They provide sim gear, and when I say sim gear, it's the easiest way to describe what they do. If you're looking to get into sim racing and you are based in New Zealand, everything from Husingfeld pedals to 80-20 rig setups, the lot, they're the place to go. Definitely give the guys a call. They would appreciate your local support.
I mean, that's the benefit of it, right? You know, we're here, we're supporting base series, and it's sponsored by a New Zealand-based company, you know. So, New Zealand sim racing we've seen some phenomenal battles. I believe it was David Sanford that had the championship locked up on Thursday night. And just his drive through the field, the way that he talks so passionately about the sim racing community in New Zealand. You know, the New Zealand everything about New Zealand sim racing is what I'm chasing for in Australian sim racing. And I know it exists out there. It's just I've got to go out there and find it. But you know, New Zealand sim racing, is this where the next Shane Van Gisbergens, the next Scotty McLaughlins can be found? Who knows? Maybe we'll know a little bit more at the end of tonight.
As a passionate Australian motorsport supporter, we hope not, but I equally absolutely love watching SVG and those guys Scotty McLaughlin do their thing. So, yeah, it looks like it is solo qualifying, as you suggested, but all of the cars are out on track at the same time doing that. So I'm just trying to pick up as these guys finish really quickly because they're all out on track at the same time. I'm just trying to pick up someone to watch here. We've actually had pretty much almost our entire field of 50 cars do their qualifying laps, I guess, with only a 5-minute session, albeit 18. We're looking at around about 17-second, high 16-second laps. Most of these guys are finished. So Elliot Osborne, the man on screen right now, is currently our pole sitter with a best lap of a 16.88. And he has done a cracking job. Looks like he is fastest. So depending on how big the group splits are, we will find that out, and that will dictate who makes it into that. We'll try and bring you that information as well as we work through this one. Cole Robinson just moved up the field. Caleb Beecroft just moved up the field as well, and he's finished his. Cole Robinson has another lap to go. He's just about to come around and finish that lap as well. 17.03.
Just about to say, do you know who we haven't mentioned yet? And I feel like it's an absolute sin to have not mentioned his name. Tommy Corbett.
I was trying to hold off as the teaser for the, late on in the broadcast, as we're on board with Jamie Willits here as he finishes, or he's going through finishing his second qualifying lap. I'll just scroll through the listing here and see if I can see where our man Corbett is. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not seeing him.
Well, you were the one that jumped the gun early before the broadcast.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because he's in the championship standings, which we'll bring up on screen. We'll bring up on screen once we're convinced that everyone has finished, which they have. So we'll bring the championship standings up on the screen now and have a look at those. So you can see there that the reason I said it is because there's Tommy Corbett, there's 7th. So,
wow.
But the big thing for tonight, and let's be honest, we're not here for Corbett, albeit some of our fans are. Elliot Osborne, our pole sitter, Elliot Osborne, is currently 2nd in the championship. Caleb Beecroft is now 7th in qualifying, but he is our leader at the moment in terms of championship standings by 2 points. So Osborne and Beecroft are in separate splits based on what's just coming up on the timing screen now. So every chance that one of them doesn't make it to that big final race. So they're the ones we need to watch. Osborne, Hatton obviously sitting there on 167, not fully across the points gaps, but assuming that he can't be beaten there for 3rd place by Lockie Beattie, who is in this first split that we're about to see. So Elliot Osborne and Lockie Beattie jumping into the split that is just about to be shown to you now. And let's have a look at how they get on.
Yep, so it's going to be Osborne away from P number 1 on the inside of the front row. Tyron Herbert will be towards his outside. Steve Duff gets away from the inside of the second row. Alec Ensley with a 17.112 on the outside. Lockie Beattie gets away from the inside of row number 3. Dylan Cook on his outside. Graham Smythe gets away from the inside of row number 4, followed by Tyler McKilkin on the outside. Stefan Adams, row number 4, 4, 5, 5, 4, 4, 5, sorry.
Just adjusting itself there,
row number 5.
Yep.
Brian McIntyre on the outside of row number 5. Michael Connell and Adam Day are inside and outside of the final rail of the grid, respectively. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, the first 3 in this heat qualify for the main. That's what we're focused on.
So do we know, is this a time certain heat? Is it it looks like a time?
8 laps.
8 laps, okay. So we've got eight laps to watch. And what's the strategy here from the driver's perspective? Is it go, is it? Can you break?
With 8 laps, like, you've just got to go. There's not enough time to sort of bide your time. You'll be watching what the cars are doing around you for sure, but it'll be, this, by the look of things, is quite a short dirt track. Just taking a quick look at the track from what I understand. So it'll be about maintaining momentum. They're off and racing. Osborne's got a phenomenal jump leading the field away. Out on the outside now, it'll be Steve Duff who actually picks up second place on the inside. So there's a few cars going a little bit high through turns 1 and 2. Sorry, that was 3 and 4, I believe there. No, that'll be 3 and 4 now as Osborne rounds us and onto the main straight. He leads it away. Duff following him and Beatty in third. Beatty looking to make sure he can make it into that final and pretty much guarantee his hopes of a top 4 in the championship. So it's still Osborne from Duff and Beatty. Tyron Herbert is now in 4th. He's going to be the one that makes some moves to try and take it away from Beatty. He goes to the low side. Beatty's going to get a little bit more of a momentum down the back stretch, and we'll see what he can do with it this time by. Osborne all of a sudden is now out to 0.6, 0.7 of a second lead, really trying to stretch his margin, see if he can stretch the legs on the straightaway, run it away from Duff in second. Everyone's starting to stay towards the low side of the track as Duff himself starts to drift up towards the middle. And again, they'll cut back down low, still trying to get underneath. Beatty is Herbert, not quite able to get there. Smythe has climbed through quite a few places as well. He's now up to 5th, still going, trying to go underneath him. Is it Herbert? Herbert's managed to get by Beatty. Beatty will get pushed through to the LCQ. Whether or not race control will want to have a look at that, we'll find out in a moment. Herbert now controls 3rd place. Beatty was holding him up. He's managed to stretch the legs a little bit. On Beatty has Herbert at front wheel high in the air. He's actually hunting down Duff now. So whether or not it was actually Beatty holding up Herbert. And I believe we've only got a couple more laps left to go.
Two laps.
2 laps to go in heat number 1 for these guys. So Duff is now under pressure from Herbert. If Herbert can find a way past, maybe Beatty will put the pressure on the rear wheels of Herbert. So let's see if he can get it done. There'll be white flag this time by. Only the top 3 to advance. It's going to be Osborne by an absolute country mile. Now Herbert is going to slide through on the underside of Duff. Manages to hold momentum. Duff
he's hit the wall.
In the air. He's hit the wall on the inside. It's Beatty. Beatty now slides on by, and I say Herbert might get a question or 2 from the stewards, as it's going to be Osborne from Herbert and Beatty and Duff in 4th.
My goodness me, what a call, Scotty. Well done, mate. Fantastic call for that one. And if there was ever anything to call like horse racing, this is it. I didn't know what was going on for the first 5 laps. Too busy watching, trying to keep up with who was in what position. What a fantastic run that is. So you'll have to duck off and catch your breath there. You probably feel like Johnny Tapp calling the horse racing. But what I'll do here is I'll give you a quick rundown, and I'll try my very best to... I don't think I can beat a performance like that, to be honest. But all right, so we've got Caden Barker, and I've just got to work out inside, outside of the track here. We'll jump back on with the TV1 in This Is Heat 2. We've got Caden Barker, Cole Robinson on the front row, followed by Bullerman and Silby on row 2. We've got Broom and Hermanson row 3. Flynn, followed by Leaf Jason King, who I noticed was in commenting on the commentary here. That's an interesting thing. We've got Flynn Hodges, followed by Castagna, Patrick, and in 12th place we've got Joel Seed. So 10 laps here. I reckon I'm just about going to need to put a face mask on for this one, because, my God, you've got to try and keep up with it as best you can. So obviously being a heat, we're just going to try and focus on the top 3 finishers in this one, which is what we need to do. And we're looking for who's going to make it through to that final race in Heat 2 here of this SimBlacks Development Midget Series. So let's see what happens. We've got 10 laps of insanity. Get a ear into the drivers, Scotty, to see what we can find out about the other race.
I'll tell you what, Tyron Herbert just received a black flag from that heat. That'll push him from a second place finish back out of the qualifications into the feature race. So your qualifiers from heat number 1 will be Osborne, Duff, and it looks like Inslee. It actually looks like Beatty didn't qualify. No, sorry, it might be my mistake. Sorry, it is Osborne, Herbert, and Beatty.
Okay, so a bit of a change up there, but the championship leader has made it through.
That's all that we need to be aware of. Now, pace car pulls it into pit lane, and away we go, Stuart.
Okay, so it's Robinson, Barker, and Silby here leading us away. This will change quicker than the weather in Melbourne, I can tell you that much. Barker, Robinson, and Bulliman, followed by Flynn. We've got Robinson now moving into the lead, Bullinson, Barker running wide. So as we continue around to finish this first lap, it's close, very close in the mid-pack. In fact, Mitchell Broom has crashed, so he will be following down, and he's actually ejected from the server. We've got Robinson, Barker, and Bulliman here on the outside, running the real high line there. He's going to lose a position or two as we've got Bulliman and Barker making their way through on the inside line. There's going to be some touching here, is there? They're getting close together as we've got Barker really piling the pressure on, but Bulliman doing a great job to keep running that narrow line down on the inside of the track. And really, Robinson here using the outside line. It wasn't used a lot during our first race, and assuming that track conditions carry over here, that might be the better line for this one. But it is Bulliman from Cole Robinson. We've got Caden Barker and Grant Flynn in this battle, along with Travis Castagna, as Robinson moves up into the lead. He's just dropped that position again, lifting wheels up here, trying to get it down on the ground. Just running real tight, a real close line to the wall here. I reckon the outside line might be the call on this one, given the use of the track in our first race, as Robinson still technically in the lead on the timing screens, as Bulliman does just move down on the inside there, followed by Barker, Castagna, and Flynn in this battle for the qualification into our big heat. And let's see how they go as a big slide down onto the inside there. Castagna makes up a place up into third position. Robinson still pushing hard on the outside line. Bulliman still using that inside line to his advantage. Is he going to look to move to the outside line and try and put and keep the move on? But it doesn't look like it at this stage. You can see there that slick line developing on that right-hand rear drive tyre as well as these guys get around the track. So my money's on the outside line here for Robinson, as I think he's just touched the wall there. Did hear in the background, and Bulliman's taken over the lead position in this race, but it's still too close to call as we're looking for who it is, the top places to get into our main wrap as we get into the last lap of this one. It's Bulliman, Robinson, and Barker. Barker, I think, has got tied up third place, but who is going to get through as our fastest qualifier there? Wow, getting right out wide. Let's give Robinson a better drive out of that final corner. I think he's going to get through to take the win here. Is he? Yes, he gets it done. So the outside line there, the better line for these guys as they get around and get through to the final flag. So we've got Robinson, Bulliman, Barker, followed by Lift Jason King and Grant Flynn in Heat 2 of this race. And my goodness me, I don't think I've ever spoken so fast, so quickly for so long.
Oh, I tell you what, Stuart, there is not a moment for air in the middle there. On to heat number 3. Action continues here on FGM ECast. This is the NZ Sim Racing finale for the Dirt Midgets.
And I just wanted to bring the standings up there for you, Scotty. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to let you finish. I'm sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Just to let you know that Caleb Beecroft, our current championship leader, is in this heat. So we're looking for him to get through after Elliot Osborne made it through in his heat earlier on in the broadcast.
I tell you what, with 3 points in the championship, Beecroft needs to make sure he gets straight into our feature this evening. 30 laps. I believe I was looking at will decide our championship. Yep, 35 laps will be the deciding factor for the NZ Sim Racing Dirt Midgets right here from Volusia. Now, keep your eyes on that high line. The track is going to continue to develop with the momentum being in everyone's favor up on the high line. Down low, you have to wash off that speed. Smaller cars, smaller engines, it's harder to build that speed back up. So, things to keep your eyes on. Now, just taking a quick look at our grid. I believe it's Murray Howell on the inside. row. Beecroft towards his outside. Rundy James and Jaden Edge are your second row of our grid. Brent Bullerman and Reagan Edwards on the third row. Patterson, it's Daniel Patterson and Harry Hodgson, followed by Daniel Patterson and Harry Hodgson, followed by Jeremy Patterson and Thomas McCall. Nathan Black and Boyd Westbury round out your back row. Nice and tight were all these guys. Only the one, which is Murray Howell, into the 16-second laps. So, away goes the green flag. 3 to qualify into
we've had a roll.
And there's one in the wall, I thought, there for half a second.
Yeah, McCall's crashed. He's rolled it.
Yep, so he'll be out of this one for sure. Murray Howell is going to lead us away. Now out in the high line is Caleb Beecroft, sitting in second place in the championship, so he needs to make sure that he keeps this clean. Front wheel in the air, and Howell will come up and join him on the high line. Those two guys continue to keep their footers deeply pressed in the throttle as they can absolutely master. Now it looks like Edwards is trying to make a move on the low side of the track. Someone in behind him, I believe that's Bullerman, who's trying to get some momentum together and start coming towards him. Shifts his car now towards the outside line, so it's the 10 from Howell, the 22 of Beecroft in 2. Edwards now starting to make a slide for position. He's really picking it up into 3 and 4, and then down onto the main stretch once more. Halfway through, we're coming up on for this race at the end of this lap, so they've only got 4 more laps after this one to get something done if they want a shot in that final race of the evening, the feature event. They'll only have 1 shot after this, so it's time to put a move on. It's Howell from Edwards now, who's really starting to push the pressure on towards Howell. Beecroft is under threat here as well from Bullerman, so Beecroft is going to have to be careful. Remember, his championship hopes to side on the feature race for tonight.
There was
He's got
contact
second
there.
lockup.
There was
contact. I believe that was on the wall on the low side. Howell has now started to stretch the legs. He's showing a clean pair of heels. 3 laps left to run now. And these 3 cars here are the ones to keep your eyes on. Beecroft still has third place locked down for now, but all of a sudden, Edwards says, no, thank you. I want a piece of that one. Slides it through the middle of the corner now. Really trying to build up some momentum and get things going. 2 laps left to run now. Beecroft has got it all to do. He's going to have to run it around the outside here, and I think in 3 and 4, that's the faster line. 1 and 2, maybe not so much. He slides down to the inside. Needs to get a really good run here off 1 and 2. The white flag is in the air. 1 lap left to run, and I tell you what, at this stage, Beecroft is going to have to go the long way through the feature. There'll be only 1 slot on offer in the B, C, and D main at this stage, so it's going to be Howell from Bullerman and Edwards, and there's just nothing there. He can't get it turned in. Too much to do, and Beecroft is going to go the long way to the feature race.
He is indeed. He'll be disappointed with that for sure. There was a small impact there with one of the other drivers as well, and I'm not sure whether or not that'll get inspected at the end of it by our race control. So need to keep an eye on that one as well, just to see if that develops any further. If you can listen out, Scotty, while I'll let you catch your breath and jump into Heat 4 here, and we will get through this. I think is this the last heat, or have we got 1 heat more before we jump into the main?
This will be the last heat. There is only 4 heats this evening before we jump through to the mains. Yeah,
this is absolutely fantastic, and we definitely have to keep bringing you more of this stuff on the ECast. I thoroughly enjoyed my last 5 minutes of absolute madness. So we've got Hatton Wilson, followed by Stone and Jackson. Paige Donnelly, followed by Fabish and Austin. We've got Hutton, Croker, and then we've got Willett and Jackson to round out the 12 in this Heat 4. As we find out the last drivers who are going to join in to that main run. That SMS car there of Aaron Hatton looking absolutely brilliant with that chrome SMS writing on the side of it. Love it. Fantastic job on your livery. So, here we go again.
My eyes are on the Domino's pizza on the outside.
That just makes me feel hungry.
That's my whole point.
That's the whole point. Oh, neither have I, mate. This is slave labour we're doing here, but I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. A fantastic thing, and thank you to the audience who joined in tonight. What a fantastic audience we've had. We've got over 50 people watching at the moment, and we love it. So thank you very much for joining. If you don't like the channel, please do so. We would appreciate it. Share the stream with your friends. Let them know what you're doing on this Tuesday evening. And do stick around after this. We do have the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series GT3 racing coming to you live from Brands Hatch. patch for round 5. So once this one's over, there's plenty more to come on FGM ECast as we get into this final Heat 4 of the final round 13. Thanks for like there, Chris Brown, on this SimBlacks presents the Midget Development Series from NZSR, and we're about to get off and racing. We've got Darcy Wilton, Aaron Hatton, Matthew Jackson, and Devon Stone. Max Donnelly getting a fantastic start there, up 1 spot already into 5th position. They're going to need to use the high line here. The low line's been the preferred line by the drivers, and it has not been or cannot be the quicker line all night. So interesting to see which line the drivers choose here, as Aaron Hutton, our man in focus, is still in lead of this race, followed by Darcy Wilson, Devon Stone, and Matthew Jackson. We've had Stove, Page, and Croker all register an incident there as well, which will get investigated post-race, I'm assuming, and Dixon is out of this running as well. As on the low side there, I'm just trying to pick up which driver it is running on the low side. All the drivers basically preferring the high line of the track. He will try and slot himself in there, and that's Matthew Jackson, our 3rd place runner at the moment, trying to move into the high line, but Aaron Hatton in that SMS-sponsored Midget running on the high line and currently in the lead of this one. He's got a small gap over Wilson, and Stove has certainly not broken away from that pack, as you can clearly see those 3 lines developing on the track, the low, the mid, and the high side. Really working the wheel there, Aaron Hatton, to get that thing around the corner here. They really want to stick on that drive line, as Jamie Willett has crashed as well. So down the back of the field, Matthew Jackson here might have the move on Hatton down the inside line there. No, he's just lost momentum on that slicker inside line there. They will want to try and stick eyes. He run that real wide. Hatton just pulling that back under control, and actually decided to head down onto the inside line, probably looking for some grip, as there was an incident in the background there, and Darcy Wilson has dropped down through the field. He was run into, I believe it was by Devon Stone, so look out for that at the end of the race as well. The top 4 or top 3 drivers definitely won't be fixed as we run across the finish line on this one. Hatton now opening up a pretty good gap of half a second over Matthew Jackson in 2nd place. He's switching from low to high line here. He's really searching for grip. So that'll be a good indication of what's going to happen in our main feature race coming up shortly, with Matthew Jackson, the 97, right behind him, up 2 spots as well. Devon Stone still running in 3rd position in his 61 numbered Midget, followed by Max Donnelly and Shaden Austin. There's a small pack developing here just behind Stove, so this one not over yet as we are into our final lap. It's going to be our top 3 runners at this stage, unless something changes with Shaden Austin there sliding through the middle, and Max Donnelly getting the job done to move up into 4th place, with Devon Stone, Aaron Hatton, and Matthew Jackson at the front of our field as we get through to the conclusion of this one. And it is Hatton, Jackson, and Stove provisionally at this stage who will head through to the main race at the end of this evening, or the next race coming up shortly.
Couple notes there for you, Stuart. Stone and Austin both received black flags in that race, so it will be Stone that'll be moving through directly to our feature race. So,
fair enough. Thank you for that update from Race Control. So, what a frantic! I don't even really know what to understand out of all of that. What a frantic! How long were those races? Like 5 minutes?
Not even. It's 17-second laps, so a bit over 15 seconds to lap. 8 laps? Get 3 and a bit to a minute. So 2.5 minutes? 2 to 3 minutes?
No wonder I feel a bit dizzy and don't really understand what's been happening for the last 10 or 15 minutes. It's I love it. Absolutely brilliant racing to watch. It's full action all the time. You can understand why it's so popular.
Oh, absolutely. I've just picked up these cars just for this evening, and I'm thinking that they might be my best investment so far into iRacing. So.
And it's week 13 in iRacing, and for those that don't know, week 13 is crazy week where you can make up some good points, make up some good iRating, get yourself promoted, and also if you're not that great at something, it doesn't really matter a lot because you can give it a crack and not really damage yourself too much. So I think for me, I'm going to jump into some of these and have a crack. These look absolutely awesome. So what we've got here then is, does this make this the B final for those that missed out?
Oh, the D main? It was saying 4. Okay, so 4 drivers will transfer directly from this to the feature race.
Okay.
As will happen, so that's different because it was showing as 1 before. So,
and so what have we got here then? Have we got our slowest? What makes up this grid? Because I'm just looking at the cars in here, and it's not our cars that were our top finishers.
No, so I think
the next best place group of 4 lots or 3
Yeah.
cars. So top 3 go
Good
through.
question.
Top
I'll do
3.
some research. You're on the call, Stuart.
All right, I think what might have happened here is we've got top 3 go through out of every heat. The next 3 go into this race here, which then helps contribute to our main feature race at the end of the evening. So top 3 from each of our first heats go automatically through. Then we have a couple of support races effectively that then contribute to bulk out the rest of the grid for our main race. There's 25 drivers, I believe, in our main race. So that's it. So C main, we're just being told here. So thanks very much, Dennis, for the kick in there. I imagine then the top finishers out of this will go into the main A race at the end of the evening. That's our feature event. So we've got Page, Duff, followed by Edge, Hodges, Westbury, Stove, Connell, Patrick, McCall, Wilson, Broom, and Inslee at the end. And we're off and running. We've got Duff, Page, followed by Edge, Hodges. Stove's moved up 1 place already here, using the high line there, getting wheels in the air. It's congested as we just see there that Dan Patrick spins around. And I think Broom also got collected at the start there. These guys getting the wheels in the air, looking for some grip. And it's Duff from Hodges, Edge from Westbury, and Connell and Stove in this lead pack. And then we're right back down into the field with a little bit of early drama there. Using that high line as best as they can to try and keep this thing moving and try and get around the track. Looking for grip as best they can. Duff from Hodges, Edge from Westbury as we get round through lap 2 into lap 3 of this race. And you can see there the guys using that high line really effectively to keep themselves going and opening up the gap. Those in the low line, we've got Edge and Westbury running in that low line, losing time. So the high line is the faster line at the moment for these guys, and that is because the majority of the drivers for a majority of this evening have already been using that low line. Duff from Hodges. Hodges sitting in the outline here. Duff moving down to the infield. I think that might have been by accident. He's already moved back up to the outside here. And they're doing a really good job, these two, of keeping it nice and close and getting the job done. So Duff from Hodges, we've got Ed from Westbury in our top 4 here. We've got just a couple of laps left in this one. We're already up to lap 5 as we come around to finish the lap that we're on. Duff, our fastest man on the track here. Hodges, Westbury's just put a move onto Stove and has moved up into 3rd place. We've got Connell and Wilson battling as Hodges does take the lead from Duff as he moves into the lower line. Keeps doing that. He wants to stick in that outside line. That is where the pace is at the moment. Definitely in that outside line. We've got the 15 and 41 of Duff and Hodges going at it to try and take out the lead of this race. We should, after this lap, next time around, get the white flag to finish this C main race. And
12 laps in this one, Stuart. Sorry,
12 laps.
8, 12.
12 laps in this race, so we've got a few more to go then, which means that Duff and Hodges will keep this close battle going. 5 laps to go, just flashing up on the screen there. I believe it will be the top 3 drivers from this who will progress to our A main race at the end of the evening. 35 laps, so we're looking here for the top 3 places. Stove and Westbury competing really hard as well. We'll jump back on them quickly and have a look at that battle. That battle is close. There's only 0.26, as you can see there. Westbury down on the inside line, Stove on the outside line. Stove definitely on the preferred line, I think, at this point in time. Definitely wanting to get out wide where you can. You can see there's a lot of slick line down on the inside of the track. So if he's looking to make a move, that's where he needs to stay. We've still got Duff and Hodges neck and neck as we see, I think, 3 laps flashing up on the screen there to go. And this one here is going to be it. We've had a crash in the backpack with Page and McCall crashing out of this race as well. They may manage to keep it going, but I don't believe they will. McCall crashed again. Hopefully that won't impact on our leaders as they come around with 2 laps to go now. The gap still 0.25 of a second, getting real wide there. Hodges in the background. That's cost him some time as he got right out onto the wall there, managing just to avoid it. The battle between Stove and Wilson has quietened down as well, so it looks like it's going to be, as we get the white flag, Duff, Hodges and Stove moving through to our main final at the end of this one. Again, wow, did you see how wide Duff was there as he ran that one around? He's actually taken, is he going to take the lead? He was flying. Oh, wow, there's a big slide out there, and it is. It's going to be Hodges that's going to take the lead here. And that move by him to run real wide and carry that pace has paid off well as he's gone through as the fastest finisher for this C main. And they will move Hodges, Duff and Stove into our A main race at the end of the evening.
Yeah, I was just having a quick look at that as well. like track pace was falling off towards the back end there, where we were running 16 to 17-second laps in qualifying. We are now running 18-second laps, so the track has started to slow down just a little bit.
Yeah, you can see the drivers struggling to find the grip. That's why they keep moving. I believe in all my expertise following this, but that's why they keep moving from the low to high line through the track just to try and find some grip where they can to get that drive that they need. As you explained really well in the early part, the slide's not as quick as being able to drive the car around the track.
Okay, so just doing a quick bit of research. Anyone that goes directly from the heats jumps straight into the main, and they'll start towards the front end of the main.
Yep.
From there, anyone from the consolation races, which is your D, C, and B main, which is what we're working through at the moment, we're into our C main, will qualify behind the heat races.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Just having a look. Yeah, so it looks like we were right. It's sort of like a consolation last chance qualifier style setup, which is what we were thinking it was. So
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, well, I'm literally turning blue after talking for 5 or 6 minutes without taking a breath. So over to you, Scotty, to bring us all through this one. I'll drive the cameras.
Okay, rotational commentary. I like it.
Me too. Let's keep it up.
So with 12 laps to decide, 4 more of our final 8 qualifiers for the feature race tonight. The momentum starts to move towards the top side of the track. Who's going to adjust best to the changing conditions out here? Leaf Jason King from Graham Smythe on your front row. Jacob Crocker and Hodgson are going to be on your second row. I believe it's Grant Flynn, and I'm not 100% sure about your next row after that. But anyway, that'll be how they start off with from this one. The truck is off and away. Life Jason King gets a cracker of a start. He'll slide up and try and take the momentum away from Graham Smythe, who's going to have to deal with a flying Jacob Croker on the inside. Grant Flynn just there in the background as well, so keep your eyes peeled. Smythe seems to nearly have taken it away from King there, but King has really got the high line working for him. They go into the first corner. 3 abreast. Now it's Croker that's going to overtake Smythe on the inside, and all of a sudden it might be a little bit of a drip back towards the bottom of the track. See if they can get that operating for themselves now. So Croker has actually all of a sudden grabbed the lead away from Life Jason King. So keep your eyes peeled. He's going to keep it towards the bottom of the track in 1 and 2. Does he want to keep it down there nice and low through 3 and 4? He does now. There's a little bit of a fight over the bottom of the track, and I believe that was Smythe and Croker who both ended up in it, and they've both jumped out. So what that's allowed now is Jason King to retake over control of this race as he keeps a clean pair of heels. Now in the lead, it's the 47 of Tyre McCulkin, who's now in second place. Shaden Austin and Daniel Patterson round out your qualifiers at this point in time. You can still throw a little bit of a blanket over them as Life Jason King grabbed the pole in this C main final chance qualifier, whilst McCulkin now really starts to make that Dirt Midget work that high line really nicely. He's definitely closing in on King. There'll be a move on down here. Throws it to the low line. Can he get the grip he's after? Slides it up a little bit. Manages to hang on to just enough momentum, and yep, that's it. Move done. So King slides back 1 more space. He's going to the low side, looking to see if he can drift it up in front of McCulkin. He's not quite able to do that. Shaden Austin is now really honing on the background of this one as well, so don't count her out of a top 2 finish. And I believe that Shaden's just gone underneath Life Jason King there now. So the 47 of McCulkin still leading, and Austin now takes away second place. It's Life Jason King trying to get the car to work back down on the inside as Austin decides to run it high this time by. Now it's still McCulkin leading us away from King and Austin. Patterson back there in 4th. He looks to have a qualifying spot locked up. Someone sliding low there to the inside. I believe that might have been King, and it was King who was trying to get it done on the inside. Still looking for a little bit more grip. McCulkin now starts to come under a little bit of pressure. King starting to make a resurgence towards the back end of this heat. At the end of this lap, there'll be 3 to go. 2 more before they'll get that white flag in the air, and that'll really start to set the tone. So it looks like it's just about locked up here for Austin, McCulkin, King, and Patterson, but they've still got to get through a couple more laps. There's a little bit of sliding, lane changes going on there in the background. It's not done, and I think McCulkin's out for some pride here, as well as Austin. Both of them fighting over for the top dog spot coming out of the C main event tonight. Keep your eyes peeled. Austin looking for a little bit of a run through the middle of the track as the connection issue decides that wants to make its way in here, and King isn't done here yet either. Keep your eyes on him, but it's such a distant 5-second or so gap back past 4th, which is Daniel Patterson back off to the 5th place car as well. So it looks like it might be just down and out for Jamie Willits and Rodney James. Checkered flag is going to fly in the air. It's going to be McCulkin from Austin, from King, from Patterson, who gets your transfer slots.
Fantastic racing there, albeit we had that early incident. We'll see if anything comes from that, but plenty of great moves put on there, transferring from low to high line and carrying a lot of speed through that midsection of the corner. Really, really great to watch. Well done to our drivers there for their outcome. They did a fantastic job. Not really sure if anyone was at fault specifically for that early incident. It did take out 4 drivers in that B main qualifier. So what have we got here now? We are into the last. Are we into the last of our qualifiers? Yes.
Yes, we are. So we just come from C main
C to B. Sorry, apologies for that. I was a letter out. The alphabet, not necessarily my strong suit. So we've got Beecroft here from Hermansen in the lead here. We've got Donnelly, Silby, Adams, Hutton, followed by Patterson, as Adams there having issues, looking like he actually hasn't made the grid. So let me just reset that there. Hermansen, Beecroft, Donnelly, Silby, followed by Patterson, Hutton, McIntyre, Castagna, Black, Dixon, and then Day, and as I said, Stefan Adams, who I believe has not made the grid for this race. What does this mean? Beecroft, he's one of our men. He's one of the guys we are watching. We'll just very, very quickly, to refresh my memory, bring up the current standings there. Yes, Caleb Beecroft, man, currently on the front row of this one. Currently our championship leader by a paltry, graphics are bad there, a paltry 3 points, I believe, or 4 points, but it is very, very close. Sounds like there was some cars running into one another in the background there as well. Before we get this one underway. So we've got 12 laps here to finalise our grid. Braden McIntyre, I was getting notice, who has had an accident in this one, potentially just running into one of the other midgets. So let's have a look at this one. You're right, Dennis. We appreciate your feedback, mate. You're helping us get through this one, so do not sweat it. Thank you for joining us as we get into it. So Caleb Beecroft here looking to get a clean run through this one so that he can start as far up the grid as possible in our A-main event coming up next. And 12 laps. I'm not sure how I'm going to go for 30-odd laps. We might have to split it. Scotty, what do you reckon as we get underway here? Beecroft, Hermansen, Patterson, Donnelly as Silby moves up 1 position into 5th. We've also got Patterson move up here. The high line's still going to be the preferred line, I think, for these guys as they get through this race. Caleb Hermansen from Donnelly, Patterson. Then we've got Silby and McIntyre as the mid-pack shuffle still happens here. This is where it got dangerous in the last race, where it was real close together. You got drivers sliding through from low to high on the track, and I can hear there's an accident in the background, so there has been some contact. But at the front here, it was Craig Silby who crashed. We've got Beecroft from Hermansen, Patterson, Donnelly, and McIntyre all in a group. You could throw a tissue over the group of them here, and we will do so as they continue to try and find traction going from high to low here. The high line definitely still the quicker line on the track. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the A-main race coming up next, with a fair bit of these usage here on the high line of the track in these last qualifying events. So Beecroft here opening up a small gap. We've got Hermansen here following him around, and then Patterson behind with Donnelly and Brian, my apologies, McIntyre close behind him as well. That's the main battle going on for these qualifying positions to get into our feature race tonight, coming up to you next. As Beecroft opens a half a second gap here. He's in control of this one, and that, as the championship leader, is exactly where you want to be. He is stretching his legs and making sure that nothing will get in the way of him getting through to that final race this evening that we will bring you very shortly. Hermansen here still in the clear. He's got a little bit of a gap as well, and Patterson, Donnelly really fighting out as we've got a car down there. I didn't quite spot it on the coverage on the low line. try and pick that up for you now. I believe that might be Brian McIntyre down there on the inside line trying to find some pace. We've got Max Donnelly on the top line here following Jeremy Patterson. And the 25 car there is closing the gap slowly, trying to find some trying to find some grip as he makes his way around. We do have another off there. Adam Day, unfortunately, coming to an end for his race this evening. And it's pretty much in control here at the front for Patterson, for Beecroft and Hermansen. Patterson really the only one putting any pressure onto Hermansen. They've moved away from the pack, and let's see what happens here as we get down into our last 5 laps. We've got 4 laps to go as they come around to cross the start-finish line from this lap here. The 44 there, three-wheeling its way through, really putting the hammer down to try and get grip. You're getting wider and wider, closer to the wall there to try and get things done, as Travis Castagna has come into an accident as well, so he is sliding down the field. Caleb Beecroft has this one under control unless something happens, but Hermansen Patterson still fighting it out for 2nd and 3rd position. Max Donnelly behind them. Just behind there, you can see him at the top of your screen. So who will get through into the A main race? Really wide there from Patterson. Jumps on the gas to try and get the car to push out of the wall, and manages to keep that one done. And that's the risk they run, trying to run this really high line to get that grip out of all of that dirt that's been roughed up out on the edge of the track there. They don't want to stick on the slick stuff if they can avoid it. Fantastic driving here from Patterson to keep that car off the wall. He's doing a really great job here and trying to pursue Hermansen for that position. He's getting really close here. He's a 10th of a second behind. We're on our final lap. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get anything done to move up that position. He will still qualify for the A main race where he is now, but he wants that track position if he can get it done. Take that away from Christian Hermansen if he can get it through here. He's running out of corners, and I don't think he's going to get it done. He's put a big slide in there. He's going to dive down the inside, and he's just not going to quite get it done there. But in a clean race, we've got Beecroft, followed by Hermansen and Patterson heading through to our A main to follow this one.
Well, Stuart, one more race, one more. The NZSR Dirt Midgets will make their way around for this season. It's on. The points battle is between Beecroft and Osborne. So keep your eyes peeled for those drivers. The drivers that have qualified for your A main in no particular order. Michael Bullerman, Caleb Beecroft, Aaron Hatton, Reagan Edwards, Daniel Patterson, Max Donnelly, Tyler McCulkin, Matthew Action Jackson, Jeremy Patterson, Darcy Wilson, Elliot Osborne, Shaden Austin, Caden Barker, Brent Bullerman, Devon Stone, Boyd Westbury, Cole Robertson, Lockie Beattie, Murray Howell, Mitch Fabish, Jake Hodges, Tyron Herbert, Christian Hermansen, and Leaf Jason King.
How, and I'm just cycling back through here, just moving the camera around on the blimp, how are we going to cover this many cars doing what they're about to do around here? Like 35 laps, so 35 laps, we're going to be looking about 10 minutes or so for the run.
I'd say it's probably about 3 or 4 laps each and then hand it on over. Stuart, what are your thoughts?
Well, mate, we'll do what we can. Might try, if we can, and keep some focus on the battles in the pack, if that's possible. This is awesome. I'm sitting here smiling, looking forward to the prospect of bringing this one through. It's going to be mental. And at the end of it, as you quite rightly point out, we are going to crown a champion for the NZSR, brought to you by SimBlacks, development series here in the midget racing. So I've thoroughly enjoyed myself already tonight. I cannot wait to bring some more of this stuff to you next season as we work with the NZSR boys to do that. I've been talking so much so quickly. I'm not sure how we're going to go slowing down to the pace of circuit racing following this, and I feel a certain amount of irony saying that. So it looks like the track state is carried through in this one. You can see all that dirt on the outside edge there. So watch here for the drivers getting as close to that outside fence, which is what we want to see as the spectators, as they possibly can, to find that grip, get the drive out of the corner and get the job done. very quickly, we're about to head off, are we? Yes,
Yep,
we are. So
that race car will pull on towards the inside of the track, Stuart. And it's time to decide a champion. Elliot Osborne, it will be in the hot seat down on the inside track to lead us away. It's going to be Hutton and Robertson that are going to be going with him through the early stages. And Murray Howell's just in there in the background as well. So the 13 of Hutton dives towards the inside, but Osborne's going to lead us away for the end of lap number 1. Now swings it around the highest side of the track. Hatton starting to make a little bit of headway on the sides, and he's managing to keep things together nice and tightly in the early parts of the corner. It's the back end of the straights where Osborne starts to really make the difference on the high side, but Hatton has made a phenomenal start. Up 3 spots to be in the first place at this point in time, and Osborne starting to really suffer on that high side of the track as the berms start to build up a little bit outside of the lower end of the track. So it's going to be Hatton this time by, from Osborne, from Robertson, from Howe, from Bullerman. I tell you what, Stuart, it's only just starting.
yeah, and looking back through the mid-pack here, we've got Barker, we've got Edwards, we've got Beecroft, Fabish, Patterson and Hermanson all in this battle group. Look at that. It's like a summer barbecue with the Flyers, with how many cars there are on such a congested area of the track, all trying to fight for that grip. They're all looking for it. And I tell you what, those guys on the inside, they're really battling for grip as they get right down in close to the wall there. For me, outside line at the moment looks still like the preferred line, albeit you've got to run the risk of running into that wall if you get too wide. But the driver's doing a fantastic job here as Fabish does move a little bit further down the pack with a small incident there. We're going to jump a little bit further back if we can here. We're on board with Jeremy Pattinson. If you could tell, there are so many cars on the screen, but they are doing a brilliant job here. Patterson, Fabish, Jackson, Hermanson still sliding down the list. That's who we started with, and they've equally dropped down. Jeremy Patterson up a massive 8 spots so far. We're only 7 laps into this one, doing a brilliant job in moving his way up the pack. We've got Hodges, Barker, Edwards all in this battle here. Hodges moving away. He's trying to jump onto the back of that lead grouping, but they're not going to let him get away if they can avoid it. Jake Hodges here trying to move his way up, and we've gone to a yellow flag. There has been an incident, and it is a yellow flag. So that gives us the chance to take a breath and run you back through this field here. That was for an incident with Devon Stone there. He did have an accident. We'll just try and bring that up on the screen here. I think I saw him run to the top there and hit the wall. Yeah, there it is there. Oh, it's just had a little spin. Geez, that's tough for a yellow flag, actually. I'm not sure why they've dropped that out there, but we'll, you know, it's good for us. It closes the field back up and means that we can try and say as many words as possible as we can in the shortest period amount of time to try and describe the mayhem that unfolds in front of us here. It is absolutely brilliant.
To steal some words from the rap star Eminem, I'm beginning to feel like a rap god at the speed of light that we're currently talking at, Stuart. It's been an awesome race thus far. Hatton was the early mover and shaker, sliding up 3 positions. He'll have control of the field on the restart here. Osborne slipped down 1. The guys we need to keep an eye on in terms of championship implications is Osborne, Beecroft, and I believe Beatty was running in 4th place as well. So 24 cars are making up your main feature this evening. Hatton from Osborne, from Howell, from Bullerman, Robertson, Bullerman again. So Brent Bullerman is the lead of the Bullerman drivers. Michael Bullerman running in 6th. Tyrone Herbert, Jake Hodges, Caden Barker, Reagan Edwards, Lockie Beatty, and Caleb Beecroft a long way down the order. Beecroft is up 3 spots. Jackson is neg 5, and there goes the truck. It's off on the infield, and Hatton leading us away. Got a great start. Got it going up nice and early. The SMS Dirt Midgets up on the high side. I believe there might be another teammate of theirs in the background. I think it was Murray Howell on the low side as well. So the 10 machine looks to be the SMS Midgets leading the field away. And indeed it is. Brent Bullerman really trying to put the bully man on the back of Howell, trying to put some pressure on the low side. It is all action stations down there between Howell and Bullerman. Robertson will be just on the rear wheel of those guys as well. So movers and shakers on the restart. Hodges is still making progress towards the front. Brent Bullerman starting to slide around a little bit on the standings as it stands at this point in time. So Brent Bullerman all of a sudden disappears a few driver slots further down the order, and Michael makes his way a little bit further forward. So there it is, the caution again.
Another caution there, yeah, as we had Edwards and Jason Leaf King. Sorry, I'll get it right in a minute. Leaf Jason King come a cropper a little bit before there. We'll just bring this one back up. So I think he was down on the inside, or was it when they slid to the outside of the track? Looks like he's just... Yeah. Oh, wow. What was going on there? That was... let's have another look at that again if we can. We'll do that in slow-mo here, just so that we can try and zoom out a bit and see what it was that was going on with that, because there's another car coming back down the track by the looks of it. So just waiting
going to say, is it...
for it here. Yeah, they've over-rotated. If you look up in the distance there, I think what's happened is they've actually over-rotated the car, and they've just ended up being collected by it. We've gone way too far back with the quarter pace there, to be honest. So we'll just fast forward that a little bit. Yeah, there it is there. So they over-rotated on the inside of the track, and that resulted in the incident that caused the yellow flag that we're currently out on track with at the moment. So we'll jump back on board with our race leader, Aaron Hatton. I'll give you a time to have a breath, because you rolled out a fair bit there, and we'll give you a quick rundown. Hatton, Osborne, Howell, Bullerman, Robinson, Hodges, Barker, Beattie, Beecroft, Jackson are our top 10 drivers at the moment. I think we've still got time, have we, before the pace car pulls off?
Might be diving down the inside right about now. The lights are off.
The lights are out, yeah. I was just going to try and bring that championship standing up on the screen, but I might try and be prepared for that for the next safety car period, if there is one, just so we can have a real quick look at it. Having said that, we may have had time there, but you're right, he's going to pull in right now as we go off and racing with Hatton again, trying to jump out to another lead. Osborne right behind him, Howe, Bullerman, Robertson, Hodges, Barker all the way in at that lead pack. We've got Beecroft as well, trying to keep up and participate in this one. Definitely want to stick in that high line where they can. It seems to be the place where they can make the pace. Kind of like FGM ECast there, as they get real wide there to try and find the grip, get the drive out of the corner and keep this thing running. We have had another big accident in the background, as far as I can see. We'll keep an idea on whether or not that causes a yellow flag or not. Hopefully not for us. We get to keep going under green flag running, as you can see there. Murray Howell, I should say, coming right down on the inside there, using the grip that he found on the entry to the corner to get his way up into second position now, doing a fantastic job in moving that one up the order, as it is Hatton from Howell, Osborne from Bullerman. They're doing a really, really great way of trying to get this job done. The Osborne car running down on the inside line, just losing position, gaining position as he finds the grip and the pace with 16 laps to go. As we continue to bring you this, the final there is a bit of a team atmosphere to this one with with Hatton, Howell and Osborne all running the SMS team livery on their Midget. So working together here to try and lock out this top three for a podium lockout for the SMS racing team, I would say is what they're called. That's certainly what we're calling them for now. They don't have any choice with it, as Michael Bullerman is in fourth here, trying to put pressure on. We've had Jackson and McCulkin crash in the background. They're really, really close there between the two teammates of Osborne and Howell, almost coming to blows as they got down into the turn there. And it is still Aaron Hutton from Howell. We've got Osborne and Bullerman there doing what they need to do. Our current championship leader, Caleb Beecroft, down in 8th position at the moment. So that will have an impact potentially on the result of this Development Series Championship, brought to you by SimBlacks. Maybe you can have a quick look into that as we do jump into another yellow flag period. So let's jump that gun and run that up on the screen here. We've currently got our Caleb Beecroft, our current championship leader. He's down in 9th, with Elliot Osborne up in 3rd. So at this point in time, Elliot Osborne will be our Development Series champion. We don't know the points gap absolutely in terms of what gets awarded to whom, but Aaron Hatton is also currently leading this race and in third place, and he is only just behind in this championship too, currently sitting on 67 points. So 3 points gap between Osborne and Beecroft. That would definitely see at this stage as Caleb Beecroft slides down the order here. What is the story there? He has jumped into pit lane.
That's
maybe
an interesting one.
Maybe a drive-through?
Shouldn't have been.
Maybe. Didn't hear anything about it. Anyway, at the moment, all to do for Caleb Beecroft. He's currently sitting in 15th, sliding down the order, 16th, 17th, 18th place. And unfortunately for him, Elliot Osborne is currently in third position in this race. At the moment, the man looking strongest to take home this development series, brought to you by SimBlacks and NZSR.
So just having a look into things, looks like Beecroft has had to have black flags cleared. So unsure what's actually happened, but he may have picked up a drive-through penalty there. He was actually starting to really climb up through the rankings. Now, Stuart, there's about 10 laps left to run. As you can see, the lights are now out on the iRacing pace truck. So it'll dive down towards the inside into pit lane. Hatton would love to sign the championship off with a victory and cement that third place. He's under a little bit of assault. He'll lead us away once again from the SMS Racing crew. So it'll be Hatton, Howell, and Osborne, Michael Bullerman, Lockie Beattie, Jake Hodges, Barker, Mitch Fabish, Jeremy Patterson, and Max Donnelly are the top 10. Movers and shakers, I tell you what, Jeremy Patterson and Max Donnelly are really starting to put on a drive of their lifestyle situation. Up 12 is Patterson and up 14 is Donnelly, and the caution flag flies once more. Stuart, it's that yellow flag certainly getting an absolute workout this evening.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's unfortunately a little bit further back in the pack that's causing it. The only good thing is it'll close it up a bit for our championship contenders, so hopefully they can get themselves up and about and make a contest of it as we get through the last few laps of this one.
So just having a look through what's going on in the server, it looks like somebody further back in the pack actually jumped the restart there. I think it might have been Reagan Edwards, and might have picked himself up a black flag. He's been given an end of the line penalty, so he'll shuffle himself towards the rear of the grid this time by.
So at this stage, you're going to have to say that it's going to be a change for the lead of the championship when Elliot Osborne's going to take out this development series, unless something big happens. Caleb Beecroft down in 17th position at this point in time with, I reckon, just waiting for it to come up there. We're looking at only about 7 laps to go or 6 laps to go as we get this lap done. The light's still there on the safety car, so waiting for it to come around and conclude its patrol of this scenario. 6 laps to go. Thanks for like there, Joe. Thanks for the update on the stream quality as well, mate. We are working to get that solved. Looked into it during the week. Not entirely sure what the cause is there. We have upped the stream output, so hopefully that will improve the quality of it for you, and we will continue to work on that as we develop our craft and what we do with our broadcast as we get it done. I know YouTube did limit some of the broadcasting because of COVID in terms of the quality of the output of the stream, but I don't believe they limited it that much. So we'll keep working on that, but thanks for the feedback. As we go off and running again, it's Hatton, Howe, Beattie, Osborne getting us around as we've got 5 laps to go as we get through to the end of this one. Thanks to like there, Luke Patton. Appreciate that. It gives me something extra to say while I try and pad out the next 4 laps of this race. I'm not padding out all. There is plenty of action to talk about here as we've got Howe down on the inside. Beattie as well. Bullerman Osborne has dropped back another spot there. He's back down into 5th now. How will that play out in the championship standings? Caleb Beecroft trying to make his way back up the field to protect that slender lead that he has at the top of the point standing. Beatty down on the inside line. Howell down on the inside line. We've got Bullerman and Osborne down on the inside line. Let's see what happens, as it is only Hatton on the top of the track. He is the quickest man on the track in that top line. Actually, no, he's not. Lockie Beatty down on the inside line doing the quickest time now. So the inside line of the track coming back to the drivers with 3 laps to go in this event this evening. And Hatton here trying to hold on as there is damage there back with Howell. Bullerman, Hodges, how's that played out for Osborne? He's made his way through, has he? He's dropped another spot. Still managing to stick out and clear as we've got Beatty now come through to the lead of this race with only 2 laps to go. Hatton, Fabish, Osborne rounding out our top 4 drivers in this A-Main feature race this evening. How's it going to finish between Beatty, Hatton and Fabish? Osborne now going to be our championship winner if he can hold it through for the next 2 laps. Let's see what happens. Lockie Beatty, Aaron Hatton. Last lap of the race.
Just about to say, Stuart, look at that. Beatty, all of a sudden, Aaron Hatton has led nearly every lap of the race. Beatty has come on strong to spoil the party right at the end. We were just saying about how Aaron Hatton was looking to sign off the championship and finish in 3rd place with a victory, but Lockie Beatty says, no, I think I'll have it my way instead. Manages to steal it there at the end. Had the fastest running car at the most important time of the night, and that's in the last couple of laps.
So there it is. We've got Lockie Beatty taking out our feature main race tonight for the SimBlacks Development Series. Thanks to NZSR, and what a cracking main race we had there. The heat race is absolutely fantastic as well. Beatty from Aaron Hutton, who has, I believe, taken out 3rd place in the championship. We've got Elliot Osborne, who will be crowned our champion, and smack bang in the sandwich there is Caleb Beecroft, who will finish 2nd in this development series. What a cracking race. The guys bring us a little bit of the stunt style action at the end of this one. And I don't know about you, Scotty, but for my very first experience with this stuff, I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
I mean, one of the absolute benefits of dirt racing is the number of overtakes, the consistency of it, and the action absolutely everywhere you look. There wasn't anywhere that you could point your eyes out on track and not expect to see a whole bunch of stuff happening. And ladies and gentlemen, that is dirt racing at its absolute finest. Heats, stuff that we don't understand as of yet, but the drivers certainly do, and that's all that matters. There was action right the way throughout the heats, action right throughout the early mains, and the feature race, well, it was a feature race. It featured some of the best racing of the night. That's where you want to see it.
And so I've just had a message through from Brayton, who actually organises this series on behalf of NZSR, and he's just going to calculate the points. So maybe we've underdone the point system here. Maybe it's not quite so simple.
I was thinking that there may be some qualifying points from memory and heat points that go into these sorts of calculations as well. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, as we decide a champion here in a couple moments.
What we might do while we can, or if we can, is just... who have we got here? I'm just trying to see this because my mouse is deciding that it likes to decide.
We've got Lockie Beatty, we've got Mitch Fabish, and we've got Aaron Hatton. So
beautiful.
Sorry,
so let's
Lockie,
have a chat.
Aaron
Let's have a chat with our final podium for the season in the development series. And well, guys, this is a new one for us. This is our christening on Dirt Race. It's our 50th stream tonight, and you guys gave us plenty to talk about. I don't think I've spoken that fast, that consistently for a very long period of time. So thank you for the fantastic race. We basically, first off, we're just waiting on the points to come through so we can have a chat with our series winners. But let's start out with Lockie. Congratulations on taking home the win there, snatching it at the end.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Just found the middle groove. Had a spotter, Jacob, help me out, and ran that for about the last 20 laps, and just found some pace through that middle groove. Where the slick wasn't, and went away with it.
So the track really started to go away. Both the low and the top side, we saw drivers struggling to maintain the pace out of 1 and 2, and the middle groove seemed to be the place to run. You didn't let it looked like it was going to be the Aaron Hatton show from flag to flag at one point, but not to be the case, Lockie.
Yeah, I was sitting in about 5th, and I was like saying to me mates, I don't know how I'm going to pass all the SMS boys up there. I think they were 1, 2, 3 at that stage, so it was looking pretty difficult. And when the bottom was in, I'm not very good in the bottom at Volusia, so I was hoping the top or somewhere else came in, and luck fell my way, I guess.
All right, moving it on to Aaron. Aaron, mate, the SMS boys, they had an absolute stranglehold on the race tonight, but Lockie Beatty had something else to say. How do you feel about that one?
Oh, I'm a bit gutted, to be honest, mate. I thought I had a hold of it the whole way, and then Lockie just came out of nowhere through the middle and just drove away from me. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Still happy to finish second, and it is what it is.
An absolutely beautiful display from all you SMS boys this evening. Any shout outs before we move on from you, Aaron?
Yeah, just SMS Fabrication, Matrix Fitness, and FYB Racing. Cheers.
And thank you to you as well, Aaron. Mitch Fabish. Well, it was looking like it was 3 separate cars with the same livery up on the podium this evening, and just different numbers being the only differential factor. You've managed to grab yourself something right there at the end. How are you feeling after that result?
Really surprised, to be honest. At the start, dropped back to way down to about 20th, I think, and then, like what the other guys said, found that middle groove and just charged my way back up to the front.
An absolutely awesome drive to find yourself towards the rear of the field in the early stages. So early on, you were thinking, it's not going to come my way, it's not going to come my way. When did you really start to feel you were making your way past a few cars?
Well, I started on the outside lines, so I was just trying to run the top, seeing what was happening, and it wasn't working, so I tried the bottom, and then not often that the middle really works, so I tried it, and it started working, so I just held that for the last half of the race and got up to 3rd.
And just an open, I was going to say, just an open question to you guys. This is as I said, our christening into this sort of stuff. With how do the safety car periods affect where you're at with the car?
Well,
this is a fixed setup one, so we can't actually adjust anything. So typically, as the track's getting slick, we'll play with shocks and whatnot. But in this dev series, he's got it as a fixed setup, so you just grid up where you get told to go and hope for the best.
And so do you try then and change perhaps to look at different strategies in terms of how you're using the track? Obviously, with everything resetting, you're not having to try and slide your way in between other cars to make your way into either the top line or the bottom line or find that middle line of the track. So when you're waiting for the restart, are you thinking, well, right, I'm going to move straight to the outside and try and grab some grip out there, or are you trying things under pace car? Like, what are you doing there?
Just having a pretty good look around and see what, if you spotted someone running a separate line to you before the yellow came out, you can sort of have a good look around and see where maybe the patch of grip that they've found is and how it might work for you, but try not to overthink it too much.
Just get in and squirt.
Yeah, it gives you a good chance to reevaluate, reset.
Yeah, it's full on. It's full on to commentate, so I can only imagine how it is to drive.
I think I overpsych myself more in the sim than you do in the real car, because you got so much more time to think about everything and stress about it all, and
not quite as loud. You don't really have the smells coming through.
Yeah, and there's always got to be worrying about a kamikaze or whatnot, because there is times where you'd put your car where you probably wouldn't, and if it was the real deal. So you always got to wonder about whether you're going to do that or someone else might. And you just get a little bit caught up, and then it's all out the window.
We're just waiting here on Brayton to come through with our updated point. Sorry, Scotty.
I was just going to say to Elliot, somebody obviously who does by the sounds of things run these things in real life. What for you is the main differential between, say, a dirt midget on a sim and dirt midgets in real life?
I wouldn't have an absolute clue, mate. My brother runs a midget, but I run circuit racing, so haven't turned a lap on dirt before. But Mitch here's had a fair few goes around dirt, so he's probably best to answer that.
What was the question, sir?
Main difference in between dirt midgets and sim racing dirt midgets.
Well, I've actually not raced a midget of the year. I race a mini stock, but it's all sort of the same once you learn racecrafts about dirt. It sort of all works out to be the same thing, really.
I believe we might actually just have an update on the championship. Is that Brayton that's jumped in here?
Yeah, just officially, it's Elliot Osborne's won the championship by 13 points over Caleb, and Aaron Hatton third.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations, guys. I don't know if we can get... I think Caleb may have jumped off. Has he? No, he is. My apologies. Sorry. Yeah, no, just jumped in there when I wasn't watching. So, well done, guys. A full season. I was just saying to Scotty beforehand that we were lucky to jump in with this one. Brayton asked us to broadcast at last minute, and certainly going to speak to him about broadcasting next season. Thoroughly enjoyable racing. And how have you found the last 12 weeks before we've been involved?
It's been pretty good. There's certainly been. It's hard to sort of between this and the national series. It's sort of you could argue whether it's easier or not. Because obviously a few of the faster guys that run the national series aren't in here, but with everyone being on the same setup, which is unfamiliar, I would imagine, to everybody, changes every week for every track, and everyone trying to fight for that same perfect line in the same car, and yeah, it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it.
And so certainly then keen for a season 2. Season 3. My apologies. As we make our way into, I don't know if it'll be next year that gets up and running.
I don't think Elliot's going to be allowed back after this.
Yeah. So how it works is Elliot's now he's 1. He now moves up and
Moves
can't
up.
run dev.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've just secured myself 2nd spot for the 4th season in a row. So fifth time's a charm.
Hey, at least you've won. At least you've won some features, mate. I haven't managed to win a feature yet.
Yeah.
You make a good bridesmaid, mate.
Yeah.
You look cute on my arm.
Yeah. Next year's my year.
I know what it's all about to come second, mate. Look what just happened.
And for each of you, probably your highlights for the season.
Mine personally would be last round because I basically had to win to get myself back into the championship hunt. And Elliot got unfortunate luck and didn't even make the feature, which made it a lot easier for me. But I still had to win, and I managed to do that. And then I got a 3-point gap heading into this race. Then, as you said, it was basically whoever won tonight won, and I didn't help myself in my heat. Then came right up to about 7th, and I just got caught someone else's incident, and that was me. But it's always next year.
That's been probably the greatest part about this. Going into that last round, if I had made that feature and finished mid-pack, I'd almost sealed the deal. And Caleb went and qualified first, won his heat, and led flag to flag in the feature while I didn't even make it. So it made coming into this round pretty interesting, and I did all I could to back up what he just did last week. But come feature time, I just thought big picture, and if there's anyone around me that's got a bit of pace, they can go. But the likes of Mitch and Lockie and stuff they found some magic line through the middle, which I never thought in the world would have worked, and they just blew on by us like we were standing still. So just tried to get out of the way and think bigger.
No, it definitely has opened our eyes to something that we haven't seen in the commentary we've been doing. The channel's only 50 episodes young, so we're definitely keen to be involved. So hopefully you all jump back in for season 3 next year, and we're going to work with Brayton to do some more stuff with him in the meantime. So thank you very much for letting us broadcast the final round. It was a cracker, and we definitely enjoyed ourselves. So and congratulations on your results.
All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks a
Appreciate
lot,
it.
guys. Appreciate all
Just
you.
one quick question before I let you guys go. For anyone who's get into something like this, what would be the biggest tip that you would give them for a rookie? Elliot, starting with you, seeing as you're the championship, the champion winner,
In
the
terms
winner,
of-
the winner of the champion.
And bear in mind that we're going to take this advice. So,
You mean in terms of like getting onto iRacing to start, or just
Well,
specifically
okay,
the dirt
so
midgets?
Stuart and I have
getting
just
up to
picked up the
speed.
dirt midget tonight, just to watch. But we already have iRacing. We've already got the setup. We've already involved. What's the most important step to go from somebody who's never turned a lap in a proper dirt car, other than dirt street stock, to turning consistent good lap?
I reckon run some officials.
Yeah, probably some official races where there's less Hail Marys and less guys with a bit of disregard for each other around you, and just run some nice clean laps. If you can manage to get under a wing of some guys that know what they're doing, and get a couple of setups and whatnot under your skin, it sort of certainly helps a lot. Like I joined iRacing in December last year, but managed to get into a team with Aaron and the likes of a few others, and got some good advice from other guys and setups, and it all helps you get up to speed pretty quick.
I also figured don't jump straight into doing league races with the best guys out there. Sort of do your practicing and
Work your
like
way up.
officials and even hosted, and then if you feel as though you're confident enough to turn consistent laps, then go for it.
So next question, Elliot, are you recruiting?
the hard press on the
always
stream. There we go.
Don't know. You got any good setups?
I'll give
branched
you
out.
guys a good setup if you give me all of your setups first.
That alone sounds like a setup to me. No, we actually we were in a team for most of the season, and a few of us branched out and sort of started our own thing, which is the SMS deal that we've got going with Aaron, Murray, and Graham. But for now, we're just happy just to keep going with the boys. That's sort of mainly what it was about. All of us are on most nights of the week running league races and just having yarns with each other in Discord between races and sort of spotting each other, helping each other out. Just makes it pretty fun.
I was about to say it would actually be, we do need to let you guys go, but it would be remiss of us not to give you another opportunity, each of you, to give a shout out to sponsors who, like in Main Game Racing, help to make all this stuff possible for us to put on, for the viewers to watch, but also to have fun doing what we do. So make sure you give everyone a shout out and thank them for supporting your teams.
Yeah, definitely. Probably first and foremost will be Brayton. He puts plenty of time into running these leagues and doing the setups and the points and everything, and keeping everyone updated and in line.
Not
and race
just that,
control.
but race control as well.
Yeah. So he sacrifices his own time and obviously money and everything to run all these things. So without him, obviously it wouldn't happen. So that's pretty cool. Good on him for that. But also just SMS fabrication. Logic, Muzz Motorsports, and yeah, all the boys in FYB, and a couple of others who have helped out along the way as well.
So if you're associated with Muzz Motorsports, why don't you have a minion on your car?
No, they're the non-original Muzz Motorsports.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
wow, we have to develop that story a little bit into next season then.
Yeah. No, Muzz Motorsports, Murray Howe, he's been running that for many years, but he's one of the boys on the team, and certainly been on the sim for a very long time. But he's been pretty good with making all our skins and making the cars all look pretty uniform and whatnot. But yeah, also just want to make a huge shout out to Beecroft as well. The banter and stuff we had going throughout the season made it all pretty cool, and just giving a bit of a wind up on Facebook today, trying to get in his head. So
Trying to do English class and I hate him flipping in my head.
I saw that. That was very good.
Going off, mate.
That was very good.
no, it's all part of the fun.
Beautiful. Anyone else?
Yeah. Again, like thank Brayton. I'm lucky enough to be quite close with him and known him for a few years, and countless times a week he's up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. got work the next morning, and he's sorting servers out for the week. I think he runs 3, sometimes 4 nights of racing a week, and it's all done through him. And again, he admins it as well. And just for sponsors, like to thank NZSR, lucky enough to race for them as well. And Brant Fab's a personal sponsor of mine that popped on for tonight actually, so good timing. And yeah, Elliot for making my year very stressful when I just wanted to relax and race a car game, but it was stressful.
It's not a game.
Sim, sorry, Sim, sorry, this isn't
It's in the
Formula One
eyes,
or
yeah.
podcast.
It's
Sorry.
life. It's life. It's not a
Sorry,
game. It's
sorry,
life.
sorry.
I was going to chime in there and say, look, you put yourself in their own stressful position. If you're running last in the championship, you care a lot less.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but again, second time for the fourth time in a row. So next year's my year. You know,
Yeah, that's
next
it.
year's my year. Yep, I've said that the past 4 years, but we'll see.
Well, cheers for that, guys. Appreciate everything you've
Yeah,
done.
sweet.
Yeah,
Cheers,
no
guys.
worries, guys. Thank you very much for your time.
No
So, at this juncture, we've just put onto the screen there for you all the practice for our upcoming race, which we've switched across to for some reason the update hasn't come through there, so we'll get that happening. But we've got the next race is the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series. And we are live from Brands Hatch for that one. Scotty and I are going to duck off, particularly after talking that much for that in that quicker period of time. And we're going to have a very quick break, and then we will get back into this one for you. So 10 minutes of qualifying left. 10 minutes of practice left, my apologies, and then we'll jump straight into qualifying for this one. So do stick around, and we'll be back with you in probably 10 minutes or so to get that one underway in a matter of moments. So enjoy watching what's going on, and we'll see you shortly.
and this is the only track that it'll happen at because it's the shortest track, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, you're right. I can do that. So
Stuff that up.
Stop and go, essentially. Yeah, you're right. I got it, mate. All good.
All right.
So
I'll
yeah,
back
we're just
up,
gonna have
Quali.
to we'll
I'll just let him know about Mr. Car Raper first.
and we'll
Oh, yeah, you're gonna make it an end.
What thing do I have to go into, Frank?
Welcome back, everyone, as we join qualifying for the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, brought to you by HJ Plant Repairs. And excitingly tonight, FGM, or Ferguson Group Media, the sister company or main company behind FGM ECast, are the sponsors for tonight's qualifying award. So, jumping on board here, we've got a 20-minute even open session. We've just finished bringing to the NZSR Midget Development Series. So, looking forward to getting back to some circuit racing where we know everything that goes on, understand the rules and everything like that. But that Midget Series, what a final race we had there. And definitely enjoy those of you who have carried over in the stream. If not, jump on board with us as we are on board with Miles Bond here. We're at Brands Hatch. We'll bring the track up on screen so that you can have a look at what we're dealing with tonight. We've got a reasonably full field again. A little bit of damage in last week's race. There was a lot of carnage throughout that race at the boot, which did see Luke Bergens take his first podium position in that round. So interested to see what happens here tonight. We are in sprint format, so we have 2 races for you tonight in this series. In between races, or in between qualifying, in fact, you know what, we'll bring it up now while we're early on enough in qualifying to do that, as Jack Boyd very, very fortuitously does the fastest lap so far, 1:29.49. He is also our first driver to complete a full lap. But we will bring up for you currently the standings for this one. So you can see there, Boyd, our current pole sitter, up into our race, or sorry, our series lead over Trent Lavis, who dropped, unfortunately, got involved in a little bit of stuff last week and did drop 1 place back into second. Matty Carleone now, we believe that he is unfortunately out of this race tonight. He has some issues with his sim gear, which is, as a result, meant that he is not able to run. I think he tried to get it to work in qualifying, in early practice, but not able to get that done there. So, fortunately, he's going to jump in with us during our first race. So, series organizer as well here. So, he's going to give us a little bit of an update on what's going on in the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series world. Daniel Webster, he has also moved up 1 position into 4th. We've got Brady Myers in 5th. Rick Kuznetsov, who is a consistent performer there, up in 6th. We've got Glenn Firth 7th. Brad Klink up into 8th. Luke Bergens 9th. And we've got rounding out the top 10 there, Sam Lehman as well. And if I'm not mistaken, Brad Klink is out on track at the moment. Let's jump on board with him. We've got still 16 minutes to go in this qualifying session, so we'll jump on board there. Brad won't really enjoy us bringing you that part of his qualifying lap, so let's move on to Brady Myers and see where he is at. And what we're really looking for here, we've got a couple of things going on here. Aside of the pole position award tonight, we also have our Peninsula Transfers Fast Mover Award, which is for the driver that makes up the most positions. Now, I can tell you, I thought that 23 positions was a lot to make up for any one particular driver during a race. But we actually have a record now of 25 positions, being the most positions made up by any one driver during a race. So we're looking to try and top that, obviously. I mean, we can't stand there. We're only in round 5 of this season. Can't stand there with 25 as the record. We want to see, generally the fields here, like tonight, you know, we're looking at a field of around about 30 cars. We want to see 30. We want to see a Larry Perkins, Russell Ingall-esque last to first style race for somebody. So that's what we're gunning for. We're not going to see it probably tonight, I don't think, but let's keep an eye out for that and see. At the moment, Matty Gray is the man of the hour, with that one having moved the most positions. And he jumped up a whopping 6 spots after our last race last week at the boot. And we've got Sebastian Murray Westberg, who is missing from the grid tonight, disappointingly for him, in second position in that competition, and Sam Lehman in third, Daniel Webster fourth, and Carl Barvik in fifth place. So a couple of things to watch for tonight around this track. Turn 1 is going to be interesting, is the easiest way to describe it. You've got an off-cambered right-hand turn, cold tyres, rolling grid. We're just about to come around here now as we're on board still with Brady Myers. No, my apologies, we're actually up in the back end of the circuit there. But it's really can be a challenging corner under cold tyres, and a lot of the guys will potentially run wide at that corner, and it has the potential to wreak havoc. We then head as we go down through, and Brady Myers just taking that one into pit lane. I'm going to try and find somebody at the right part of the track so we can take you on a lap of this one. Glenn Boyd there up at the top section. Luke Bergen's jumping into pit lane, putting new tyres on there. We've got Adam Bolton. Here we go. We'll jump on board with Adam Bolton here as he heads around past the start-finish line. You'll notice the camber on this track is quite high for a circuit. As he heads down into turn 1 here, this is the corner that's going to cause some track. It actually narrows, and so what you'll probably find is we end up with a couple of guys out in the sand trap up to a slow right-hander a little bit further up the track. Run back down the hill trying to get out of that hairpin, down to a left-hander, and then we get out wide and we try and use as much of that corner there. Very well done there from Bolton as he goes through his lap. And then you're into a left-hander up to the long back straight. So this track actually has 2 sections there. You can see there on the apron on the right-hand side of the track. Generally, you can also split off to the right, which is the shortest version of this track. This being the extension. So long straight. Then we go down to a fast right-hander, followed by another fast right-hander as we make our way around Brands Hatch.
Originally started as a motorcycle dirt track.
Welcome back, Scotty Rankin, joining me for the part 2 of this evening as we're at Brands Hatch here. This is one of my favourite tracks to race at, and mainly because I'm actually really bad at it, and I find it very challenging, particularly turn 1 to get that right. It's very good when you do, and it's very satisfying, but it's easily able to be completely toast the start of your lap as they come around here, and we see Adam Bolton head into pit lane. Jack Boyd still fastest man on the track, 1:23.23. Michael Jordan paying tribute to him, and 1:23.23 fastest lap so far.
I was just going to say, reminds me a lot of Imola, actually, Brands Hatch, but uses those undulations perfectly. It actually reminds me, whoa, as we actually see Connell off the road there, not quite able to catch it up. Nearly did, but he'll pull it up in the sand trap. Only one Mercedes on its way up to him, so we should find a little bit of space to get the car back out on track. Might reset, see in a sec. No, he's going to run it back out. So, reminds me a lot of my home motocross track, actually. Really uses the natural hillside that it's built into. Another one that's sort of similar, mainly in the final sort of sector, is Alton Park. Love Alton Park.
Yeah, they're interesting circuits in the UK. I mean, they're all obviously aside of Silverstone pre-extension, but they're all tight, twisty, not a lot of space, obviously, in the UK to run these sorts of things, but they're all really challenging, really short tracks, kind of like Oran Park. Like Oran Park's, albeit obviously not around anymore, but you can run Oran Park on iRacing, and it's a challenging short circuit with the ability to make sure the car's positioned for the corner ahead, really playing its part. As Brad Klink here is on a hot lap, we'll jump on board with him. But really a matter of making sure that you maximise the flow of the circuit where you can to get the most out of it. Definitely the case here.
Yep. I mean, that's it's about flow, isn't it? It's not about making sure that you pull the car up. It's about flowing the car smoothly from turn to turn and dealing with the undulations as smoothly as you can. It's about not trying to put the car out of place. And actually, one of the benefits to me for Brands Hatch is allows a lot of these cars with the bigger engines to stretch their legs in different sort of ways. It's about getting the power down. There's a lot of time we're spending at full throttle around here. Braking zones, you know, there's a couple, but you get a lot of overtaking through corner number 1 up into, I believe it's Druids is the hairpin.
Yes.
Druids Bend is corner number 2. That's going to be probably your main overtaking zone. Corner 1 can be taken side by side, which is the real benefit.
It can, yeah.
So with these drivers at these sorts of skill levels, taking that first turn side by side, whoa, Stuart, it's going to be an absolutely exciting prospect. I am keen as a bean to get race number 1 underway.
Add into the mix cold tyres. The heat of potentially, as we've got 9 minutes to go here, a poor qualifying effort, because you can see on the track map there up on the right hand side of your screen that it's congested. So trying to get a clean lap here is extremely important. And turn 1's going to be kind of like the Boxing Day sales for mine. We're going to see a huge gaggle of cars hit in there, not really knowing why they're there or what they're trying to achieve, but trying to get through to the other side to see whatever it is that they can grab. So Brad Clank here just grabbing some new tyres before heading back out with around about 8 minutes to go. On board at the moment with Rick Kuznetsov, who's had, for mine, I reckon, probably the guy who has consistently improved week on week. And that's not to say he was a bad driver or anything like that. What I mean by that is his results continue to get better. We saw him last week take out a podium for the first time for him, and that continues to improve on a gradual migration for him up the standings as these races complete. So be good to see what he can do tonight in that fantastic livery he's got on the BMW. So we'll keep a firm eye on him. Other man that you know that I love is this man here, who also took home a podium for the first time last week, is Luke Bergens.
I was actually, just before I went off and grabbed some dinner, I ended up dropping into the Discord and having a quick chat with Luke Bergens. He said he has been in contact with Zach Brown throughout the week. However, the $70 million that he wants and he thinks is reasonable is just outside of McLaren's budget. So no $70 million for Luke Bergens, but he's not also a sponsored McLaren driver anyway. So maybe he will move to the Tifosi. Maybe he goes and contacts Ferrari next.
I'm going to tell you what, though, with the amount of dollars they had to pay Daniel Ricciardo to get across, I'm not surprised there's not much left in the budget for Bergens. And to be brutally honest, I'm kind of looking forward to Norris and Ricciardo next year. It's got me a little bit excited about the gravy train that basically is Formula One outside of those personalities. So looking forward to seeing that, but also looking forward to seeing what Luke Bergens can do here at a track that again should suit the McLaren. We're seeing him at the moment 5th in qualifying as it stands. He's a 1:23.93. Jack Boyd, our current pole position sitter, a 1:23.23. So, traffic aside, those sorts of things, as the track grips up as we get through the race, watch for Bergens to improve.
Something else I was just sort of thinking about as well is, did you see the look on Carlos Sainz's, was it Sainz? Yeah, it was Sainz's face when he realized how poorly the Ferraris were going and he wasn't in the race? It was heartbreaking, wasn't it?
No, not really.
Well, you go back a year and you go, yeah, Carlos Sainz has made the perfect move. He is moving to one of the stronger teams, looking to make a resurgence. He'll have Leclerc as his teammate. Man, that is the money move right there. I mean, everybody would have been boxing and fighting. But the real money move was to not go anywhere. It was actually to stay with McLaren. And, well, that's all played into Ricciardo's hands, hasn't it?
If we were brutal about Formula One, and we don't want to talk about Formula One all night while we're here, we've got just before we get to 5 minutes to go. If we're brutal about Formula One and Ferrari haven't won a damn thing since Michael Schumacher left. Like, significantly. Like, they're not, I don't understand, it's the red, I don't know if it's the colour or whatever it is, but at the moment, they're not in a good spot. They haven't been in a good spot for seasons. Not this season, and I just don't see the attraction other than the fact that you're going to Ferrari and the potential that could bring, but they're years away from winning a championship.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They're a mile and a half away. It almost makes you wonder whether or not Ferrari was penalised when they broke the engines down and said, hey, we kind of know that you're up to something, let's just put a count on it. I wonder whether or not there was some sort of compensation Ferrari had to make back towards the FIA in some format, which is why they're so slow this year. Whether development on their engine was frozen and they were moved back to a previous spec and all research had to be thrown away. They weren't allowed to touch it or anything whatsoever, and they had to start again. Kind of makes you feel that way. But in terms of qualifying, oh sorry, not qualifying results, it was it probably about halfway through the Grand Prix, the bottom 8 cars on the track, 6 of them were Ferraris.
Ferrari engine cars, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was just like, wow, what happened to this team who were basically fighting for second in the Constructors' Championship, you know?
Obviously, regionally, McLaren is where it lies for us, understanding that, you know, Zach Brown, America, all that sort of stuff. But, I mean, regionally, McLaren's as close as it gets to us for a constructor from across the ditch. And obviously, with Daniel Ricciardo there next year, along with, you know, probably, I think, the most outstanding talent on the grid in the young drivers at the moment in terms of personality, level-headedness. I can't wait to see what those two do next year at McLaren. I think they've got it's the right attitude, it's the right team. Zach Brown, all those guys, I think, yeah, I can't wait to see it. So let's see what happens. But before we get there tonight, we are into round 5 of the HJ Plant Repairs Aus Pro-Am Sim Series. And tonight, as I mentioned earlier on, the qualifying prize, a $15 prize, is brought to you by Ferguson Group Media, the company behind FGM ECast. That's what it stands for, Ferguson Group Media ECast. And we're excited to be bringing qualifying here to you tonight before H&O take over again next week. And I can tell you, we do everything social media-wise, videography, small to large companies. That's what the guys back at the office look after. They help us with the production on this and certainly help us with the post-production of content where they can. So if you're in a small business, big business, whatever the case might be, and you're looking for someone to handle anything from video post-production right through to a full social media or advertising strategy, then Ferguson Group Media are the place to go. You can reach them on their website, fergusongroupmedia.com.
Thanks, Stuart. Thank you for sponsoring tonight's broadcast and sponsoring pole position this evening.
Absolutely, and it looks like Jack Boyd's going to add to his bank account at the moment as well. He's almost gone faster on his last lap out. We'll just jump on board. He's right behind Kodak that we were following there, whose car liveries, I reckon, are the best getting around in iRacing at the moment, which is why I wanted to jump on board with him there. But we've only got 2 minutes to go, so we better jump on board with our current pole setup. Looks like Jeff Connell's put the Q in the rack. He's in pit lane at the moment. So Trent Lavis is second on the leaderboard at the moment, and he is currently running third on our qualifying grid. Scotty, I'll let you bring the last minute and a half away.
Yeah, I was just having a quick look through the field as well, and I think that Clank was absolutely moving slightly earlier in the qualifying session as well. He put in a real quick lap. But take a look at what's separating our grid. Boyd is 23.229. Connell 23.347. Laves 23.464. And then you've got a gap of back to 23.745, which is Glenn Boyd. Clank 20. Actually, I just say that Boyd has just done a 23.599, so he's improved by 0.1 to 0.2 of a second there. And then Clank and Bergen's only difference is 0.07 of a second, so 700ths separates Clink and Bergen's, and it's real tight right there as Brady Myers all of a sudden goes 1/1000th of a second quicker than Rick Kuznetsov.
Wow.
So Myers puts in a 123.986. Wow, that's Rick Kuznetsov does 123.987. So
We're on board
real
with
tight.
Bergen's here. He's not going to get any quicker, unfortunately, for himself. Brad Klink's still out on track. He's just started another lap. He will get that one finished before qualifying is over. Whereabouts is Lavis on the track? He's going to start. He's run way wide. That lap will, excuse me, most certainly not count. So he's done for today. He'll finish third if nothing changes around him. Jack Boyd bringing this lap around to finish. He's pulled out of that one. So let's jump back on board with Brad Klink, who is still out on a fast lap. He is the only one who can impact on these top 5 drivers. And at the moment, he is done. That is it.
That's it. Qualifying draws to a close, and the starting grid has been decided. So it's Boyd once again taking away the $15 FGM ECast pole position.
So we've got the grid up on the screen here. We will do our usual sprint through it to let you know where your drivers are. Obviously, let us know who you're watching, and if you're watching the stream, give it a share, give it a like, let everyone know what you're doing, and if you feel like donating some stars, we would certainly not say no. Thank you very much for your contribution. Jack Boyd, Boyd Racing, pole position, as Scotty alluded to just there. We've got Connell behind him with Lavis, our current second place sitter, on our overall championship points in third. Glenn Boyd fourth. That's a great result for him. He has moved up into that position within reach of Jack. We've got Brad Klink in fifth. Red Bull, my goodness, what a slip. Redback Racing Team, followed by Luke Bergens in that fantastic looking McLaren that Jack Brown decided to not sponsor. We've got Brady Myers 7th, Rick Kuznetsov in 8th. We've got Brady McHugh 9th, Simon Nicholson rounding out our top 10. Toby Pope, Glenn Firth 11th and 12th on the grid as we flick over the page for this one where there's about 30 cars in tonight. We've got Carl Raper in 13th, Ian McMahon in 14th, a little bit lower than he would want to qualify. Simon Lartner, 15th right sim racing. We've got Miles Bond, Pace Syndicate. Good to see him a little bit further up the field this week. Adam Bolton in 019 Sim Sports car as well. He has done a good job to get that one up there as well in the Merc. We've got Daniel Webster following him in 18th, Hayden Jackson in 19th, Frank Kodak for the Ben Motorsport Park in 20th, Stephen Bartholomew, another one of those Redback Racing teams, in 21st, Brady Buchanan 22nd, we've got Sam Lehman 23rd in a holding 9-3 SimSport sponsored car, Paul Chapman in 24th. As I flick the table over yet again for another big field for these guys. And we bring you through the last. We've got Sam Thurtell in the Carbot Motorsport sponsored car, Dwayne Voss in the XRC Racing sponsored car, Rodney Hobbs in 27th. We've got Gadarick in 28th. I believe he's a new entrant to the series, so congratulations and welcome. And we've got Matty Cardleone, albeit he is listed on the thing there. He is out, unfortunately, due to technical issues with his sim racing equipment. He will join us during this race. So let's get that off the screen. We'll bring up the right stuff on the screen. And Scotty, I'm going to let you take it away for the first of our 2 races tonight, the 25-minute, I believe, sprint race.
Well, actually, what I was going to say, Stuart, is you were just mentioning Cardleone and Guitaric. There actually are 2 admins right down there at the bottom of the grid. And, well, the man himself actually joins us right now. Matty Cardleone, welcome to the Combox. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, good, thanks, Scott. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Now, I did notice you were introducing one of our drivers there this evening. Do you want to run us through our special guest?
Yeah, Carl Raper. He's a teammate of mine, actually. Luke Bergens, myself, and Carl Raper actually drive for. It was Tolman Esports by HCR. We've just had like a team merger now, so we're actually Whipperman Racing, like a UK-German joint sim racing team. And Carl is originally from the UK, lives in Sydney now. He's been one of the founding members or long-time members of the team before they sort of got big and had Tolman come on board. So Carl's been there for a long time. I've been lucky enough to do some enduro racing with Carl, which is good. He's quick. He's very quick, especially in a GTE car. So he thought this is one of his home tracks from England, so he'd love to jump on and have a crack tonight, which is cool. Carl also raced bikes as well, so he was telling us this is where he came off on his 1252 two-stroke like pre-Moto 3 era bike. So we were having a bit of a chat about that. So he's got some memories here. So yeah,
no doubt some scars.
yeah. He said he's got a bit of a bung thumb actually, which was quite comical. So hopefully it doesn't hinder him tonight. But I think he's jumped really very much into the deep end here as we're about to go racing. I think it's a very very tight field, and yeah, getting the hang of the big Merc has been difficult for him. It should be interesting here. I'm a bit nervous about T1, but let's see how it goes.
Well, Matty, hopefully you're going to stick around with us for a little bit here so we can get some conversation with you as we do get underway with Boyd, Connell, Lavis Boyd, Glenn Boyd, that is, Brad Klink, and Bergen sliding down there. We've already got Bergens getting taken out on the first corner there. Rodney Hobbs also, unfortunately, coming a cropper. So we'll get through this one. Actually, not that bad. We've had 2 cars, unfortunately, get damaged on that turn 1. And to be brutally honest, collateral damage-wise, that's not that bad. They've called a caution just to make sure that the cars get through that first corner. But cold tyres off camber, not necessarily the worst result possible. With the driver's briefing, Matty, I'm assuming there was a fair bit of conversation around making sure everyone got through turn 1, allowing room, particularly given the size of the field.
Yeah, it's so difficult running into T1 here at Brands Hatch. I'm just looking back at some of the replay now going to T1. It just funnels down quite quickly, and there's a lot of cars going in there. Unfortunately, I was quite strict with the guys in driver's briefing, but unfortunately races will be races. I think it's just two cars coming together on the same trajectory. Nothing, no foul play there. Unfortunately, it's just an unfortunate incident. But yeah, this sort of track lends to that first corner mayhem as well. Unfortunately.
The old racing incident, as we say. It's interesting as well. The field here has gapped. We've got the map up on the track here, and there is a huge gap. Not to be the proverbial dobber, but looking there, Sam Lehman, I believe it is, holding. It might even be Simon Lartner. My apologies, Sam. It wasn't you, Simon Lartner. They're holding up the field massively, and there's a massive gap between. He's just dropped out, I think, between Bergens and the rest of the field. So they'll catch that back up now. Hopefully the safety car going around for another lap. It looks like it is, so that's good news.
Yeah, so it looks like, who was that was sliding down the order? Simon Lartner and Ian
I think he might
McMahon,
have
by the
had
look of
damage.
things.
I think he might have had damage because he's ejected and gone straight into pit lane. So same with McMahon. So hopefully we weren't too harsh there, but certainly that gap has been addressed, or will be addressed shortly, and they'll catch up with Luke Bergens. Trying to catch everyone back up there. I don't know how damaged Luke is. We might jump on board with him quickly.
He seemed to be... He was the car that was sideways across...
Yeah, no, he's struggling big time. That's why the gap's still there. So he's cut through there to get back around. Hopefully he doesn't get a black flag for that, because that's actually the smart thing to do, to get out of the way of everyone else and not cause any accidents. So hopefully if he gets a black flag there, it gets cleared because he's done the right thing. So we'll do another lap under safety car here, but interesting start for us there. Matt, are you still there?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, beautiful. So just quickly as well, obviously not a lot of our viewers know that you're actually the man who does all of the work, albeit there's a couple of you who help out as well. Behind the scenes of this series, you're the reason that it's been put on. What made you get this started?
I think it was just wanting a... everyone says they're going to do things differently and run the series their way, but a couple of us had been racing in some series, and we just thought probably not being run, maybe not fairly is the word, but not being run how it could be run. It could definitely be better. So I sort of just said, you know what, I'm going to give this a crack. I've got some ideas. And yeah, it went from there. We sort of brainstormed, and we did a lot of work with trying to pick different tracks, how we would set the cars up, whether we would have open setups or not. I think with running a series quite large, it's hard to please everyone, but you've got to do what's right for the series. And I think if we were to have open setups, it makes it difficult for those that don't always get a lot of time on the sim, coming home from work, got families, and that makes it difficult. So we thought we'll do a little bit of work with the baseline setups, play with the fuel a little bit, and yeah, we'll make everyone... Sometimes it is a struggle with some of the cars, but we'll make everyone struggle. Everyone's on the same playing field. So we wanted something even that was going to let the driver's skill do the talking and not the cars. So we just wanted a good series where people were enjoying themselves and there could be some really hard racing. Obviously, it's unfortunate when there's incidents, but I think we've got some really good talent in this field. And some of the racing over this series has been absolutely amazing. Especially, I think for me, the highlight was Barcelona with the strategy at the end there, and that was really, really good. So I think we've obviously there's always teething issues. I think with new series, just trying to work out those little niggly issues that hopefully when we come back in season 2, we'll sort those things out. But I think we're slowly working through things in this season. And I think we've had some awesome sponsors come on, which has been great. So we've been able to offer some really cool prizes, and we're onwards and upwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
go on, go Scotty.
I was just going to say, like, if this is a starting point, wow, what a job you guys have done for certainly season 1. Lights are actually off on the safety car, so we'll be back underway after the safety car peels off to the right-hand side, bring it down the main straight, and hopefully turn 1 can be navigated a little bit cleaner this time through.
Yeah, yes. Jack Boyd leading us off here, so hopefully we can get into T1 clean, boys.
We've got about 11 laps to go, or we do have 11 laps to go as we cross the start-finish line now. We have, I think Brady Myers is in pit lane as we speak, and I think the guys will probably be a little bit more ginger through here this time around. We'll try and jump back through the field a little bit just to keep an eye on what's going on, as it does look like everyone's got through cleanly here down into turn 2. There's always going to be a difficult place to stop on cold tyres heading down into the hairpin as we make our way down through into what will be the new section, or it's not new now, but the new section of the track, or relatively new section of the track. I guess you're going to tell me that that's the non-motorbike section of the track for those of us who are uneducated. Yep. And you can easily run your way wide there as you try and we just see there, unfortunately, that looks like Carl Raper, who has gone off into the fence there. So not sure if that was a net code, if he is running from the UK, or unfortunately a driving incident. So I'm sure we'll find out more about that as time progresses. But it has been a relatively clean restart there.
I think that was just Carl and Rick looked that was a bit unfortunate there. I think Rick's just got onto that curb can be quite lethal. It spits you to the left really, really quickly, even if you just grab a little bit of curb, even a little bit of grass. And I think Rick's just caught a little bit of curb there, and it's just spat him to the left, unfortunately.
Yep, well, it was overlap, and they were fighting for track position coming around the left-hander, head their way up along the back straight, see what they could get going. Unfortunately, Carl has been welcomed to the series in not the kindest of fashions, but he is now welcomed, I suppose, so it's out of the way. He'll get it underway and hopefully tick a few more boxes off in race number 2 this evening. So Boyd once again leads us away, Stuart.
I was just going to say, sorry, I think that's one of the great things that you touched on when we were just talking about the structure of this series, is this 2-race format that you guys do is fantastic, because it means if you have a poorer first race, you can shake yourself off and get yourself back into it for race 2, albeit the grid's progressive. Your night's not over, and I think that's one of the things that I certainly really enjoy about broadcasting this series, is we get to see, I think it was Trent Lavis has had a couple of races this season where the first race hasn't quite panned out for him, but he's managed to drive his way through the pack in the second race and end up finishing either on the podium or near the podium, and that's reflected in his current championship standing there in second place. So definitely one of the things about the series is I enjoy, as we just see, I think that was Toby Pope going wide there on the track. It may have even been Brady McHugh, my apologies, just running wide there.
I was just about to say, I think that might be Brady McHugh, actually. I think he might have picked it up. Yep, so they managed to get themselves underway. Rick Kuznetsov will actually go ahead and pick himself up a black flag penalty for the contact there with Carl. So when you invite a guest along, the idea is that you treat them nice, get them to come back, and well, unfortunately, Rick hasn't done that this evening, and he'll find himself circulating through the pit lane sometime in the very near future as a result of that.
Rick's given him all the squash out of the roast veggies, and that's definitely not appreciated as a welcome. So unfortunate for him. Rick's been doing a fantastic job throughout the series so far, but I'm sure he'll pick himself back up.
I was going to say, maybe Rick needs to, maybe a better punishment would be to send Carl a welcome basket.
Yeah, there was definitely no roast potatoes in that roast beef, and that was all broccoli there. Unfortunately, it didn't. Um, yeah, I suppose I'm not going to be. I got to be unbiased, I think, but I don't know if Rick really deserved a penalty there. I think that was actually quite line and ball, unfortunately.
Okay, well, perfect
Just a racing
opportunity here,
incident.
Matthew. Like, we've just mentioned that curve can spit you quite harshly across to the left hand of the track. If you were to go back and revisit it, what would be going through your head when you're revisiting a racing incident such as that, and how would you reach a decision?
Well, for me, I try and think about, I talk to the guys in the drivers briefing about giving each other room. I know we are, some of us race real cars or bikes, or whether we're on the sim or not. Racers are racers and they want to race hard. But I think sometimes it's just.
Whoa! We're actually going to see. I think it is Ian McMahon who just gets turned.
No, Ian
No, it's
McMahon
Sam
just
Lehman.
unfortunately ran into Sam Lehman there, so that will no doubt warrant a visit as well, I'm afraid. But
unfortunate there for Sam, he was doing quite well.
He was.
I was just going to say, I think when you look at the volume of cars that are actually out on track, and the fact that, unfortunately, as commentators, part of our job is to highlight the action, and a lot of the action, unfortunately, tends to be cars getting turned around. So
That's
when
just
you
get tight tracks, I think, as well.
Yeah, when you look at the volume of cars, the closeness of the racing, and how often it is fair, we're highlighting the minimum. I think it's definitely cleaner than an official server. I'll say that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I do
Stuart,
think regarding the sorry, Stu, to
No,
cut,
man, go
cut
for
in
it.
on
Go
there,
there,
but I
mate.
do think regarding just an incident like Rick and Carl's incident there, I think probably it comes down to both drivers there, but I do believe Rick was probably a little bit squeezed, and maybe it's the it's probably the job of the driver on the left-hand side just to sort of open the wheel a little bit to give him that space, in case that car does sort of bump off the curb in the wrong way and gets moved to the left. But I think just a little bit, again, it's just some of the things that come from racing at such a tight circuit. But definitely, race control, they have the authority here. They're the ones working hard to bring even and fair racing and discipline for those making mistakes. But yeah, I think that's another thing for season 2. We'll look at definitely more wide, open and longer tracks, which seems to split the field up a bit easier, which makes it a little bit easier to fit 30 plus cars onto a grid.
Well, we would prefer that you don't do that. That's our vote as a broadcaster, and the viewing nation out there, the millions that tune in, definitely would prefer that you didn't do that. But we certainly understand why you want to do that. And as you say, sometimes we talk about it a lot, actually, particularly in our early broadcasts, while we were sort of trying to get the audience to understand how all of this works. It can also come down just to equipment and the drivers, like in real life. Again, Formula 1 drivers, they can hardly see a damn thing behind or around them while they're running. V8 supercars, with the way those cars and the drivers are set back in those cars, it's very difficult for them to see peripherally as well. And it's no different here.
Exactly.
If you're only running a single monitor setup, you may simply have just not seen that there was a car on the inside of you, and albeit you do run crew chief or an equivalent program, sometimes it's too late.
Yeah, exactly, Stu. I think a lot of guys don't necessarily have the space or the budget to run the triple screen or quite a wide curved screen as well. So like I know that I don't run a triple. I run a widescreen monitor, but definitely not as nice as it would be to run triple. So that does definitely hinder you from your peripheral perspective. It's very hard to sort of see. I tend to find myself using the look left, look right toggle often just to see where I am, and it does make me a bit more cautious. I'm not going to fire something down the inside unless I know exactly where I am, because you might find yourself in that exact situation that unfortunately Carl found himself in, was nose first in a wall. He has bad memories from brands, I think, and he's just added to it, unfortunately.
So it's probably not the track for him to make his debut at, really. He probably should have waited and come and jumped in at Bathurst at the last round.
I think he was trying to make amends, but unfortunately it bit him back again.
Well, hopefully he'll jump on board for the Enduro at Bathurst and maybe run with yourself. That would be great to see, or run by himself. Equally, if he chooses to do that, that would be fantastic.
would be awesome to have him.
Well, I'll tell you what, probably time to talk about the battle as it happens out on track. Jack Boyd has not had this race all his own way, as has been the case for much of the season. Jeff Connell actually leading the way this evening, Stuart.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job there. I've been keeping a very close eye on it as Boyd sticks his nose down the inside there and tries to potentially just let somebody know where they're at. Have we had an off? Have we? No, it's close. Good, enjoying the race. I thought I missed something there on the
sorry, mate.
On the feed. No good, no problems at all. As actually Jack Boyd is the fastest man on the track at the moment, a 23.89 last time around. So he is absolutely sending a message on the bumper bar of the Jeff Connell BMW there in front of him. As we've got, and I'll switch that over there. I'm not quite sure why we are showing you a timing screen because we're not on a time certain race. Albeit we actually are, my apologies. So we've got 9 minutes to go in this one, and it's I reckon it's going to be pressing the entire way home. Tyres won't be an issue here, and neither will fuel. So we're going to be in for a really solid 8 minutes for this one.
Well, I was actually going to say, Stuart, I think sending a message. Do you reckon it's Morse code? Boyd's
Absolutely.
tapping out in the rear bumper of Jeff Connell?
Absolutely.
He's doing a Craig Lowndes, I think. The old
stick the head
tappity
out,
tap on the rear bar.
Yep, absolutely, and we love it. That's what we want to see. So, Boyd obviously extraordinarily fast. We were saying earlier as well in the rundown that Glenn Boyd doing a really good job getting to know and getting up to speed with that car up into 4th place as well. So the guys in those BMWs doing a really good job of getting up the front, and we know that if Jack Boyd had his own way, he would be out in front by a mile here. So Connell doing a fantastic job.
It's unusual to not see Jack in first place, but Jeff's been really consistent and really fast here. Even just watching through the practice and the qualifying sessions, he seemed to just have it really hooked up and seems to have really good knowledge here. And he's not, I wouldn't say he's holding Jack up completely. They're quite close on times, but he's driving it quite smooth and hitting his lines, and nowhere for Jack to really make a move at the moment. It's actually really, really good racing.
It's actually kind of interesting to see Jack have to work from second, because all of a sudden it's a completely different race style. When you're out in the lead and you're nice and comfortable, you can see your braking markers, you can see your apexes, you can see your turn-in points, you can see where you're trying to point the car as Boyd tries to get it down the inside of Connell here. Nice and cleanly done into turn number 1. Connell tries to assist him towards the wider portions of the track. You'll have a look under brakes up into Druids, but not really an overtaking opportunity that time through. So now Boyd takes the ascendancy.
This could be, hopefully Jeff can hold on here and, hold on to Jack's bumper here and follow him through and maybe make a move back. Hopefully Jack doesn't run away with it from here, and we've got a fight to the end.
Just walk us through Matty Cartaglione. I was just about to say about how much different it is to drive underneath the rear wing of the car in front of you. What are you really looking for? What's the difference when you're following somebody as to when you're in clear air?
Oh, a good track knowledge is very handy. You can find yourself missing apexes and running wide at the exit of the corner as well. You just can't quite spot those markers like you usually can, which is difficult. I try and always try and leave just a little bit. I try and focus more on my exits than I do on my corner entry, just so I'm not right on someone's bumper while trying to actually turn into the corner, because it's very hard to spot your apex, spot your curb, and you can often find yourself either getting an off track on the inside or catching a bit of grass and losing the rear. So I just try and run it in just a little bit slower and focus more on the exit, so hopefully I can get a move done exiting the corner instead of having to, if I'm not making a move into the corner, I don't want to be sitting right on their bar. I also don't want to risk unloading the car in front. So I think that's probably the hardest part, is just spotting those obviously you've got to run a different race line. You can't run through the car in front, so you've got to be a bit more cautious. But I suppose that's what good close racing is. The guys, whether it's first or second, or 31st and 32nd, that they're respectful with each other, and you can still have great racing.
Well, brought to you directly from the mouth of the series chief instructor, I guess you'd call yourself. What would you, series controller, series host,
administrator?
There you go.
Yeah, maybe administrator. Passionate racing fan.
As just touching on as well, while we were going through that, Trent Lavis has moved up into third place. So currently, as it sits, we've got first and second in our championship sitting first and third on the track. So it's going to be on, as we say, like Donkey Kong for the next race coming up straight after this one, as Jack Boyd goes to take a win here. A great drive from Jeff Connell there, unlucky not to take out the win, and Trent Lavis coming in third place. As the guys will filter around, they'll have a quick drink and get ready for the next race. 45 minutes here with a pit stop required. So looking forward to bringing that one along, and good times for us to thank HJ Plant Repairs for sponsoring this series and being on board. We certainly couldn't do it without them, and certainly couldn't put on the prizes that are in place for the drivers without their support as well. So HJ Plant Repairs, thank you very much for your support. And we did mention earlier as well, and we'll give you an update here, the Hard Charger Award, thanks to Peninsula Transfers, and Matty Gray is currently in the top spot for that one. Quickly scanning through here, plus 13 for Sam Thurtell was the biggest mover for the grid. He's not currently in our top 5 drivers in that Hard Charger Award, so he will probably make his way up the field a little bit. Matty Gray currently leading that one thanks to Peninsula Transfer. We're still trying to break 25 positions, which is the record for the Peninsula Transfer Fast Mover Award, and I don't think we're going to see that tonight, but unless you can get your gear working, Matty, in which case we may well see that taken out, starting from the back of the field. So, but having said that, Luke Bergen's going to start from 23rd, my apologies, further down the field than that. I think he's going to start in the late 20s, so maybe
23rd, I think. Yeah,
he was 23rd. Yeah, so
I
maybe
think that's going to be one to watch for race 2. I think Luke's an aggressive hard charger, so I think we're going to see him. I'm going to put my money on him for a hard charger award tonight.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
I'd back that up. Somebody else I was actually... There's a couple drivers I was looking at. You mentioned... was it Bond that ended up with the 13th place mover? But there was a couple there. Daniel Webster looked like he started really out of sequence. He's been consistently picking up sort of somewhere around 6th, 7th, 8th sort of positions. He actually started a long way back. He managed to gain, I think it was, I'm going to say 11 spots in that race, finished about 9th to 10th again, so back sort of consistently where he'd normally finish. But the other mover and shaker for me, and this is one that you normally see, you see Hodak down in somewhere around the low teens. He managed to move up, I think, another 9 to 10 places as well, because my timing screen is actually reset. I can't give you the exact numbers on that one, but he managed to make his way up into, I think he finished in 10th place. So
yeah, good performance there, and yeah, he's had a bit of bad luck as he just pulls up on the inside of the track there on the screen. He's had a bit of bad luck. He got caught up. I think it was particularly at Belle Isle. He got caught up in an accident on the back straight where he was just a victim, just minding his own business. So definitely had a bit of bad luck there in the series so far. So good to see him moving up the field. And as I said to you, the man, for my opinion, that has the best vehicle liveries getting around on iRacing. I'm pretty sure he does them himself because he's a pretty talented guy from some of the other work that I've seen him do. But his liveries for the Ben Motorsport Park are absolutely right up there with some of the best I've seen.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, race number 1 has concluded. The Jack Boyd show continues to roll on through the station. But what a drive from Jeff Connell, managing to pip Boydie and make him have to work a little bit harder for the top dog award in that race. Lavis sitting in 3rd. He's still got a little bit of work to do if he wants to see if he can challenge Boydie for that championship, but he's certainly pushing the rock uphill, finishing in 3rd spot and not at the top.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been consistent, and that's why he is where he is in the championship at the moment. If you can remember right back to our very first race at Phillip Island, he was able to move up the grid just by driving consistent, smooth laps and not getting caught up in other people's episodes, shall we say, and that's how he's driven the entire time. Finishing third at Belle Isle as well in the feature race. So he's done a really good job at just being nice and consistent and picking up race wins where he can as well. So he just needs to keep it up to keep in the contest.
I think that I think you probably touched on what has been probably, especially over the most recent weeks, one of the more important points is keeping your car out of trouble. It's not necessarily about keeping it clean, but when the big one happens, not being around it. So Bergens has done a phenomenal job. I think he's improved in terms of his driving phenomenally out of sight. Like he picked up his first podium, I think it was last week, in the McLaren. Unfortunately, this time gets himself turned going into turn number 1. So there'll be a little bit of, I'd say, review from his side of the fence. He'll be looking, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Because you've got to remember, in every single accident that happens in a motor race, there's two sides of a story. Unless it's you just driving into the fence, in which case it's you versus the fence, so the two sides of the story.
No, the track was at fault. Generally, it'll be the track's fault.
Yeah. That's it. I figured it out. I know why I'm no good at iRacing, Stuart. It's the tracks.
Yeah, the tracks.
Always bloody tracks.
Or the car. Like, it's never my fault.
Just blame your tools, right?
Absolutely. But, you're right. And, I mean, look, a lot of the drivers are new to iRacing, even if they do have track experience. We've spoken about it before. Track experience helps once you know how to drive on iRacing, and it's not exactly the same. It's close. But, the sensation of the simulator versus the sensation of driving a real race car, they're two very different things. So once you get your head around that, you understand apexes, you understand braking, you understand turn-in points, you understand how to map the track for the car that you're driving and where to do things to get consistent. And, you'll see it in other series where there are, like this one, people that race full-time in real life, and they get quicker and quicker, and they always, I don't think I've seen anyone who races real life consistently not make their way to the front of the sim racing field, because of the fact the skill is transferable. It's just the feeling and the input that's slightly different.
Yeah, it's about teaching yourself, but more importantly, in every single incident, remember always that there are two drivers that are going to be involved in it. Now, we mentioned race control had a little bit on their hands between Carl Rapier and Rick Kuznetsov. Yeah, sure. Look, and the end result is that Kuznetsov gets himself a black flag. Rapier is towards the rear end of the field. Unfortunately, that's racing. Move on with yourself. But at the end of the day, you've got to review that from a driver. If you want to improve from a driver's standpoint, even if you're not the driver that's at fault, you still review it and go, what could I have done better? Because I think you've got to be a fool to not want to review those sorts of things. Because every single time something happens, there's something you could have done better. And if you don't go back, don't look for those little things, you can't improve.
Interesting. Carl Rapier actually starting from 15th on the grid, so he will be another one to watch based on what we've been told. So Bergen's out of 23 and Rapier out of 15th after some race 1 incidents.
Boydie deciding that he didn't want to wait for the Porsche safety car to move off from the starting grid. Thought
Not happy with how slow. Not happy with how slow the pace car driver is. I've heard that pace car driver tonight is actually Neil Crompton. So Neil not doing his job there. So anyway, he'll get up to speed and run these guys around. Or maybe I can't actually remember. Maybe it's celebrity driver night for the pace car. So that could be just about anyone in there. But look, we really want to get off to a clean start this time around if we can. I'm sure that all of the drivers will have been on the chat talking to one another saying, hey guys, let's get through turn 1. Let's get through turn 2. We've got, by the time we get started on this race, 42 odd minutes left of racing. There's plenty of time for everyone to make up positions. Everyone's got a pit. So let's just make sure that everyone doesn't have to pit on lap 1 or then lap 3 and then lap 5, because as coining that man, Neil Crompton, as we know, safety cars breed safety cars. So let's hope for a clean start for this race 2, 45 minutes here at Brands Hatch.
Yep, so incident avoidance. Well, it's not even incident avoidance. It's risk management, isn't it? With such a tight track like this, that that lends itself to potentially more incidents, more close fighting. You've really got to be on the car ahead to get your moves done, and you know, thinking about what you're trying to do here. So it is risk management. It's not even incident avoidance. It's risk management, because if you're going to push hard early, what are you doing? You're increasing your risks. Now, obviously, you don't want to let that go too far away. You don't want to let people, because then the risk becomes you let them get too far away and you don't make that time back later on when you've got the ability to push hard once the tires are up to temperature and the racing itself has settled down. So risk management versus benefit. There's a lot of risk in the early stages of the race, and payoffs. Look, there's a lot more payoffs when the cars are closer together, and that's why you see drivers pushing early.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 1 second on the track right now means a whole lot more than 1 second does in 35 minutes time. Jack Boyd controls the field back to the start-finish line for the second time tonight. And we're off and racing as Jeff Connell looks to dig himself in right behind the Boyd Motorsports entry of Jack Boyd.
Oh, wow, there we have it again. Another slide there with Brady McHugh, second time tonight, getting taken out on turn one. We didn't talk about Miles Bond. He's made a fantastic start here, up 2 spots into 5th position in his car there, right next to Clank. And as you mentioned, Hodak up into 7th as well. He's already up 2 spots too, so a good start from Hodak Kodak there as we get around. The guy's doing a great job here to get through with only a little bit of damage. Luke Bergens, what a start, up 8 spots already, a 15th position on the grid. Let's keep an eye on him. Carl Raper up to 11th as well, with 2 drivers, our drivers to watch for this race too.
I was just sort of thinking to myself, did somebody strap a hard charger award already to the front of Bergen's McLaren? Because I think he wants to put his stamp on it for this evening. Raper as well, making his way forward, already up 4 positions, starting from 15th, as Stuart was pointing out just prior to getting underway. But at the front of the field, the first 4 cars run through down into our last corner on the track before they make their way across the start-finish line to complete the first lap of the longer of our 2 races this evening. They all run in the order they gridded up in, so no changes at the front of the field. Bond is the first of the movers. Clanker's slipped back 1 spot. I tell you what, look who's coming through the field. It's the Mercedes of Brady Myers.
Doing a fantastic job as well, Brady Myers. He up until that, he's made his way back up, as you said, into 7th spot. So there's going to be a battle on there between Bond, Clink, Myers, and Hodak. They're all within very close proximity to one another to keep charging around here. The Boyd-Connell battle resumes itself, and there's no surprise there either. So Luke Bergens, I'm getting a notice here, has had an off-track. He is sliding down the order a little bit. And that's not an off-track, that is an overturn. And as crew chief probably was on the radio to him saying there, mate, the car is faster on 4 wheels. So unfortunately that will put Luke Bergens out of the race.
So, yep, risk management. We were talking about how he was pushing hard early, trying to get spots as he possibly can. Unfortunately, the risk sometimes isn't worth the reward. And the reward is that you turn your car upside down, in which case the wings don't create downforce, they create upforce, and we call that an aeroplane, Stuart. Yes,
that's absolutely right, and certainly not the fastest way around the track. I've never found it to be anyhow, albeit I haven't got that much experience racing on my lid. As Jeff Connell gets around behind Jack Boyd again for another lap, Boyd here opening up a gap of around about half a second now. We've got half a second between Connell and Lavis, and then back to Glenn Boyd in 4th. Miles Bond, this is our battle that we really want to be focusing on here between these 3. This gap, sorry, I picked up 1 car too early there, between Bond, Myers. They are closer together, although be it there, Clinks actually dropped right off there and lost around about a second on that corner, so I'm not sure what happened on the turn in there, but that's given Miles Bond some breathing room in 5th place, and he's finally, looks like that car's nice and straight, which always helps. But looks like he is finally managing to get some luck go his way round 5 here tonight. So I'm sure he will be pleased about that. He's had a difficult couple of rounds coming into this one. As we jump back 1 place further, to Clink and Myers, who are certainly battling it out. Battle of the GT and the BMW there.
Yep. So Myers, I did say he was in Mercedes earlier in the evening. I apologise for that. Misreading once again. English is not my favourite language apparently this evening. Don't know what it is. Must be gibberish.
Spanglish.
Well, in the British Isles, it looks like it is the BMW that looks to be in the ascendancy. Boyd and Connell all the way up to Druids already. Boyd still trying to stretch those legs and show a clean pair of heels. The gap, though, it's around half a second. Connell, I'd say, would probably just be trying to settle himself into a rhythm. It's about another half second back to Laves there in third. And Glenn Boyd, man, he's really improved this evening to be sitting in fourth place.
Absolutely doing a cracking job. And just to update you on our Hard Charger award so far in this race, we've got this man here on screen, Adam Bolton, up 9 places. Equal, actually, with our... oh, no, actually, he's not. Carl Raper only up 7 spots. So currently Adam Bolton, the Hard Charger thus far in race 2.
Yep, so Raper, I'd say, would have gone back, reviewed what happened, and got on with the job. Well, let's see if he can generate himself some good memories from Brands Hatch this evening in our second race. So looking to make his way nice and far up the grid. Bolton in a little bit of a world of his own at the moment. It's 10 seconds by the look of things behind him to the next car, and there was a little bit of a gap out there in front of him. But Hodak all of a sudden starting to slip a few places down.
Yeah, he has. He's dropped 11 spots. Sorry, he's dropped 3 spots from his starting position there as well. So probably a little bit of race management there for Hodak as well, just to make sure he can keep it clean and consistent and get through this one. So he runs a little bit wide there through turn 1, which has opened him up to the pass there, and he gets a little tap on the inside there. That was probably just not enough, quite enough room. He's going to get back out. Oh, no, he's going to... No. So
well, Bolton's going to come through and grab a few more places, that's for sure.
At that point, Steve Bartholomew also running wide there. So at that point, we'll jump on board with Rick Kuznetsov, who's trying to make his way back up through the field after the incident that succumbed him in race 1. So currently sitting in 9th place. And I did look a little bit further up the road there and see that this battle here is tightening up as well between Bond, Clink and Myers, as well as Myers really looking down the inside on Clink there to try and find a way through on that GT, which equally he's in the hunt. Miles Bond here probably feeling a little bit of the pressure on the back of that BMW as well. So we've got BMW, Ford GT, and then BMW again. Really hoping Clink can actually keep it up.
I was just about to say, Clank's going to send it down the inside into corner number 1. Now, that'll mean he'll get a slightly worse run off number 1 up into Druids, and Myers was really crawling all over the rear end Ford GT as they head down the hill through the next couple of left-handers, and Clank will try and settle that thing down and keep it in front of Brady Miles.
Yeah, I thought that maybe it might have been able to get the nose up the inside there down into Druids, and Clank there, I think that unfortunately is a single car accident. He was under pressure there to try and get the job done around the outside, and that unfortunately hasn't worked for him there. So Brady Myers moves up 1 spot into 6th, and Brad Clink drops a handful down into 12th.
I was going to say, I think that may have had something to do with Myers. Myers was actually trying to go down the inside, and then Clink, I think, tried to move it across. It was just sort of in the back of the shot, wasn't front and center, so I have a feeling there's been no sort of calls out to race control as Brady Myers used all the road and a little bit more as well.
There was no notification on the timing screen of any impact at all, so if not netcode, nothing at all for mine. It was just, unfortunately, the back of the Ford got loose, being on the dirty side of the track there, trying to defend its position, and Myers took advantage of it. Now onto the back. Wow, right up onto the back of Miles Bond. Those two cars obviously exactly the same, and braking markers there just a tad different. As again, there, Carl Raper now up 8 positions, is onto the back of Brady Myers. So that's not going to be a cup of tea and a biscuit part of the race for Myers. He's going to have to keep his wriggle on and make sure that he defends that position as well as continues to attack the back of Bond.
Yep, so it's going to be Bond, Myers, and Rapier, followed by Kuznetsov, who are forming your 4-car battle pack at this point in time. Raper still trying to come to grips with the Mercedes around Brands Hatch. Isn't doing too bad of a job for himself. I'll tell you what, if Rick Kuznetsov can find his way back on to the rear end of things, Carl Raper might have a few words to say to him. Might defend with the wings out a little bit more after what happened in race number 1 this evening. Myers manages to keep it a little bit cleaner that time through before hanging down into the left-hander. He's going to have a look! Myers is trying to get the car out there. Didn't quite get enough of a draft to get close enough that time by, but I tell you what, he was quick into 1 last time around.
Yeah, he'll look to do the same thing here. He's break point down into turn 1 later than Bond in that one, but not quite able to be close enough to get it done. You can see him closing right back up there again. Let's remember, this is a fixed setup class, so they are able to adjust brake biases here, but the setup of the car is exactly the same. And Myers gets it done down the inside there, and Raper looking to take advantage as well. But Bond there defending and back on the inside. Oh, there's been a touch there. There's been a touch, and Bond has gone around, unfortunately. And it wouldn't have been all of the biggest touch in the world, but enough to send him around. And he'll have to safely rejoin the track as we jump back on board with Brady Myers, who is going to take some punishment here from Raper as well. It's not over for him. He is not driving away into the sunset at this point in time. So we'll have to see how Bond goes, making his way back up the field. I don't think there'll be any call there for a black flag or anything like that, looking like a racing incident, unfortunately. So we've got Raper. Where's he at on the track pace-wise? He's not the quickest, but certainly doing the job to keep up with the pack here.
Yep, last time through for Brady Myers is a 125.14. Raper was 124.88, and Kuznetsov was 124.69. So the fastest of the 3 in this group, as it has fallen away from the 4 that it was on the last lap, is actually Kuznetsov sitting in the rear of things. He'll be looking to try and close himself up onto the rear end of Raper and get by a little bit cleaner than he did in the last one. So it's going to be BMW, Mercedes, BMW, and I think it was actually Raper just getting a little bit wide there at Druids, not quite getting the car turned in the way he wanted. I think he had a little bit of trouble trying to pull the car up as well, as Jack Boyd starts to find his way up onto some lap traffic.
And also just pointing out there that Miles Bond has actually decided to take his pit stop, so he'll be fueled to the end and he'll be trying to undercut his way back up as far as he can back up into this lead pack.
Alright, so we're now inside the fuel window time, so you might start to see cars pull off. One of the ones I'm actually expecting to see box quite early will be Jeff Connell. Whether or not Jack Boyd decides to go with him, these guys have been playing around with fuel numbers pretty much week to week. Their cars seem to be much for muchness in terms of pace. Which one wants to be the one to take on a little bit of extra fuel, push a little bit harder, but spend a little bit extra time static in the pit stop this time? I'll tell you what, if Jeff Connell decides to go into the box, he'll have a bit of clear traffic. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take on the extra fuel and see if he can push for a few extra laps.
And of course, we have seen cars in this series actually run out of fuel on track, pushing the limit. So the drivers will be mindful of that and not wanting to jeopardise their race by trying to squeeze that one extra lap out of the car, potentially at the detriment to themselves in terms of overall race finishing, because you can't win it if you don't finish, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it was Daniel Webster. I remember the Mercedes running out of fuel out on track. Well, that's a segue.
Yes.
Work, Stuart.
I figured that's where you were going, so that's where I jumped to. So it's all good. We continue to become a little bit more understanding with how the commentary works as well. But also in a good battle here with Simon Nicholson, 14th and 15th positions respectively. And these two have been battling it out for a couple of laps. I've been keeping my eye on this battle.
Well, there's a few crinkles in the front corner of that Mercedes, so it's found itself in the wars this evening. Nicholson's car seems a little bit cleaner, although he might rough it up on the rear end of Webster if Webster is a little bit slower and he's not happy with the way that he's driving, although I expect that not to be the case. These guys right at each other's throats at this point in time. The first one to drop a tyre out into the dirt will be the first one to be sliding back away from the other one. So keep your eyes peeled to the screen. They're in a little bit of a hole out on track all to themselves at this point in time. Adam Bolton 7.9 seconds ahead of Webster, and Bond is 7 seconds out behind after serving his stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam Lehman jumping into pit lane as well. He was battling with Brad Klink and that, so he will slide down the order, but artificially so. Our first of the cars that has done its pit lane transition at this stage actually will be, I believe, Miles Bond. No, my apologies, it is Sam Nicholson, who is currently running 14th.
Well, I'll tell you what, that pretty much decides this little battle. Nicholson will be wanting to pin the ears back, get away from Webster as quickly as possible, more so that he can cover himself off in terms of fuel strategy to everyone else. He went the undercut because he was looking for a little bit of clear track, and unfortunately, well, you kind of can't just drive through the space that Daniel Webster's occupying right now.
No, that doesn't generally tend to work that way. So he'll have to come up with something a little bit different to try and get that job done. And actually, getting held up here is not ideal for his overall race strategy given the early pit. So he may be getting a little bit frustrated that he hasn't managed to make more progress after having made the early pit stop here to get out of the traffic and try and perform an undercut.
Whether or not, though, he was looking for a little bit of a draft, maybe he spotted Webster out on track or all running on his own and was looking to pick up a draft. I don't think that'd be the case. I really don't, just purely because it would be completely and utterly detrimental, as Stuart just said. So don't expect that to be the case whatsoever. All right, time to take a quick look through the order, movers and shakers. We were talking about Myers, Raper, Kuznetsov. That battle still hasn't resolved itself, as Myers looks to have finally put a little bit of time and broken the draft to Raper behind him, and Kuznetsov is the same in terms of his pace to Raper at this point in time. So they just sort of spread themselves out a little bit. They'll be starting to drive to a fuel and lap time number more so than they will be trying to fight each other out on track. That's what they'll be trying to do at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhere else just to keep our eyes. I think Clank is really putting the... he's coming under pressure from potentially Thurtell, or he might have just gotten past Thurtell out on track.
Yeah, I believe so. I think he moved up that position there, and you can see as well there, albeit not for position, Luke Bergen's right on the back of that Mercedes-Benz of Thurtell, so albeit he has had that car repaired, he is a lap down.
Flipped over the right way, I think, is probably the better way to look at it.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think we'll leave that one alone, I think, for now. It's not a race driver's highlight to have video of him up on his lid. So, as you mentioned before, Carl Raper doing a good job here, just in a little bit of no man's land for the minute. So we really need to get through to this pit window, which is really open now until, well, effectively the end of the race, obviously. But you want to be getting it done probably before there's 10 minutes or so to go in the race to make sure that you don't lose the hard work you've done, particularly for our top set of 5 or 6 drivers wanting to get that done early enough that they can still run the way that they wish to run to the end of the race.
Yeah, it'll be about... I like that strategy call as well, Stuart, more so because it allows you to assess where you're at and then make an adjustment. So if you pop out and all of a sudden you're 3 seconds further up the road on where you thought you might be, well, you can save a little bit of fuel and expect to be fighting off somebody coming from behind in the later stages of the race that maybe took on a little bit of extra fuel, but you want to give yourself that fuel to really sort of fight them. Alternatively, if you find yourself 3 seconds further down the road, well, time to motor on, see if you can get onto the rear end of somebody and save some fuel while sitting in the draft, and also put a little bit of pressure on them, see if they'll make a mistake just by having your fancy headlights of the Carl Raper Mercedes maybe flashing in the rear end of Brady Myers' BMW.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, most definitely the case. So that is definitely what they would be thinking, I think, at this point in time.
Right, having a look down the order, it looks like Nicholson and Webster are still at it. I can actually hear them on the radio. They're talking about it. It looks like Webster's maybe received a touch-up at some stage. And Nicholson was trying to tell him, hey, mate, maybe you should peel off into the pits and get that rear wing out of my way.
Get a repair done.
I think if he was to transition the pit lane, there'd only be enough time to sort of throw a little bit of a splash in the tank. Miles Bond starting to put some pressure on the rear end of Sam Lehman. And remember that these guys have both served their stops as well. So Rodney Hobbs out on track is actually a lapped car just ahead of Sam Lehman in, I believe it's a Ferrari. So Ferrari, BMW, as it stands on the track. All of a sudden, Lehman slides down the inside of Hobbs, and Hobbs makes way for Lehman as well. So good driving by Lehman, and Bond to slide on by, but also alternatively good driving by Hobbs to recognise this isn't his fight, get out of the way. They're clearly got some racing to do, so let them at it.
Absolutely. It is what we like to see, as we've got Daniel Webster and Brady Buchanan in pit lane at the moment. Buchanan actually leaving pit lane as we speak. So that moves Miles Bond up another 2 positions back up into P14 in race 2.
Actually, just trying to think, when are the leaders do you think are going to be pit lane, Stuart? Our pit lane transition time this evening is the delta is about 22 seconds. Drivers are only having to sit static for anywhere between 1 and 4 seconds. So the first driver down the lane was Nicholson. He only sat still in the pit lane for 1.92 seconds. So it's literally a splash and dash.
You asked the question, Glenn Boyd, the first of our leaders to blink. He has jumped into pit lane to do his transition. So based on that, as we see a challenge for the lead here by Jeff Connell, not quite able to get that done there. He's going to try and switch it back as they head up into the new section of the track. And it's, I would say, any lap now is going to be when they're going to jump through. 23 minutes to go. The question for them is going to be, do you run that longer strategy and try and get the undercut by getting in clean air? These two here, albeit they're obviously very closely matched for pace, probably not really holding one another up that much. So Connell will be getting the advantage of a bit of a draft. Jack Boyd certainly no slouch, so he won't be holding Connell up. So it may be a case of either blink at the same time, so try and make sure that you get in on the same lap, or for Connell to try and potentially run longer, run faster, and create a gap, because the pit lane times for these two cars is obviously going to be basically identical, pending the driver entry and exit to pit lane. But their refueling time and stationary time will be the same. So really, for mine, it's Connell, can you make the decision, and are you going to be able to push longer and harder to actually manage to make your way through in an undercut? If not, I'd be going in at exactly the same time and just keep putting pressure on Boyd and trying to force him into a mistake to get yourself through into the lead of the race.
I tell you what, somebody has just made from my perspective, potentially a good move once again, is Glenn Boyd. He's made a phenomenal call on the pit strategy last week, found himself bottled up in traffic, decided to dive through the lane, use the undercut, find himself some clear out and track to turn the laps and the fuel numbers that he needed to do to get to the end of the race, and it really played into his hands. Guess where he's popped out? P7. P7, yeah. So he's not all that far back.
Brad Klink making his way through pit lane as well, moving Miles Bond up inside the top 10.
So, just having a quick look as well, there was one driver that really stuck out to me in terms of their pit lane transition time, and that's Stephen Bartholomew. He has taken a 16-second stop, which is about 13 seconds longer than everyone else. I'm wondering whether he hasn't taken left-hand side tyres.
Yeah, potentially so. An interesting strategy if he has, as we just see now, Jack Boyd diving into pit lane, so race leader in. So now if I'm Connell, I am running for as long as I can to try and build, if not a second or so, maybe a second and a half's gap, and hoping that that's enough for him to get out just enough in front to run through to the end of the race in the lead.
Yep, wholeheartedly agree. Just having a quick look, Boyd was static for 3.18 seconds, so right in the middle in terms of extra fuel he's taken on. So I'd expect Connell to go right up until about 5 minutes to go. So he's got 15 minutes that he's going to be running out on his own, out on track.
But you're right as well, he's actually 16 and a half seconds up in first position now. Trent Lavis in second, about a second and a half further back down the road. We've got to remember, pit strategy may play him back into this as well. He's just been quietly getting the job done in third place up until our race leader and still effective race leader, Jack Boyd, pitted on lap 17.
So I'm wondering whether or not Glenn and Jack were working together there. Glenn's popped out. He would have known that he was potentially 4 seconds back down the road of 4 to 5 seconds back down the road of where his brother was going to pop out. Pops out there, has a look at his relative screens and says, "Yep, there's a gap. Go now," and goes on through. And I tell you what, Boyd went through his. We're actually going to see Laves peel off and dive through the pit lane this time by. Boyd pops out ahead of Kuznetsov. Whether or not him popping out of Kuznetsov was really the turning point for whether or not when he'd make his stop.
And there's always that exposure as well of getting involved with lap traffic or the cars that have pitted earlier who might not be quite on the same strategy as you, coming around a warm tyres, not quite so much the issue, but just not on the same strategy. So the Jack Boyd now up in front of Laves. He has popped out right behind the Boyd car. So that gap actually did close up through the pit stops there. So it was about 1.8 seconds when the pit stop was taken. It's now just under a second and closing. So Lavis, my apologies, playing quite a good strategy there to get through pit lane. And he's made that up just in the stop itself. 23-second total pit lane transit time for Boyd, and Lavis doing it in just a smidge over 22 seconds. So that's the sort of gap that we're talking about that we need Connell to have to make sure that he can get through pit lane and get back out in front. And I can tell you he has extended that gap ever so slightly now. It's just under 18 seconds. So not necessarily going to come straight out in the lead, but he's going to go real close.
Yeah, I tell you what, we need one of those Formula One undercut overtake graphics right now, because Trent Lavis, I think, has potentially played the pit stop maneuver of the night. If he can stick here in this draft of Jack Boyd and conveniently has moved himself further away from Glenn Boyd so that they're no longer an issue, well, he might have played himself right into contention. But for me, Jeff Connell is now the one with the big issue. When do you pit? Because that margin for himself to slot back in where he would have been when Jack Boyd dived through pit lane, well, Trent Laves is now right there.
Yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely. And go on.
No, I was going to say, yeah, your turn, because that margin, he's now playing with fire, and I hope he may not even know that at the moment, because Boyd and Lavis are so much further behind him on the track.
Yeah, and I can tell you the lap times between himself and Jack Boyd, not big enough in terms of a differential to make a huge difference. Yeah, he's pulled in now, so we'll jump on board now. Carl Raper's going to take over the effective race lead. He is yet to pit, so our race leader is really Jack Boyd at this point in time, potentially being held up here by Raper, who has also jumped into the pit lane. So Connell's on his way out of pit lane as we speak. Where are they going to cross over? He's got out on track in front. He is out on track in front. He's done it. He's managed to make the undercut stick. So we've got a race on here. There's a gap of a second between himself back to Boyd and 1.9 seconds between himself and Trent Lavis in third. So this is now the play for the race with 16 minutes to go in round 5 here from Brands Hatch.
Now, I wonder, Jeff Connell's pit lane time was 1.63 seconds. Lavis spent the least time of the three of them in pit lane static at 1.3 seconds, and Boyd double basically what Jeff Connell spent static at 3.18 seconds. Nearly 3.2 seconds. Connell was 1.63. So he's going to have an extra lap worth of fuel. And I tell you what, Boyd is going to try and drive Jeff Connell off his fuel number. And all of a sudden, you'll just see Connell will just be so vulnerable at the back end of every straight.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously a lot of the gap made up there, as you're saying, that 1 second difference. Oh, that's Lavis off in the background. Running really wide. Thanks very much for the like there, Drew. Welcome to the broadcast. And he's run real wide there, so that not affecting his track position, other than obviously he's dropped a little bit further back in this race. So really here it's on between Connell and Boyd, and as you're touching on there, that 1 second difference overall in the pit transit time, including stationary there, getting him out in the lead, but potentially at the detriment of being able to actually run full fuel there. So I'm not sure what's going on. We've got final lap coming up on the screen there. That I believe is incorrect, so do ignore that. Not sure why this is showing us that one.
There's still about 15 minutes left in the race, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So just ignore that on the timing screen there. We do still have time left in this one. So I'll try and give that a little bit of a boot along to see if we can get that to show you the right information there. But definitely,
it's reading that it's 22 laps, in which case we are on lap 22. So, well, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, I'm not sure this is a lap certain race though. So I believe it's
I didn't
by
think so
time.
either. So.
Yeah, 45 minutes I believe the race time total is. So we'll just reset that there and just see if it can catch back up with where everything is at. So no, as it comes back up, still bring that up there. So we'll see what happens here. We could all be in for a surprise, but not expecting to see. We are expecting to see a checkered flag wave. The race is finished.
There you go.
So I don't know if there's
time certain. Then it was lap certain. In which case, Jeff Connell has pulled one from his bag of tricks and set it down and said, "No, can't catch me, Jack Boyd."
Interesting there. That's caught us a little bit by surprise. So I don't know whether or not that's always been the case, but I can tell you now that looking at the broadcast sheet for tonight, it was supposed to be a 45-minute one mandatory pit stop race in this second race. So I do not know what has happened there, but that's fine. Jeff Connell, congratulations on your race win and playing the strategy absolutely perfectly. To do your pit stop on the second last lap and come out in front. Jack Boyd taking out second, and Trent Lavis there coming in third place as well. Carl Raper, our guest from the UK, has dropped in with a 5th position too, so a good result for him.
Absolutely, and I mean, I guess we were kind of denied the coming together, or potentially Kuznetsov and Raper once again, but hey, look, I think for everyone out on track, it's probably better if they separated themselves until they'd allowed the red mist to settle just a little bit. Congratulations to Jeff Connell, finally able to pull one back off Jack Boyd, followed by Trent Lavis home. I tell you what, he is absolutely Mr. Consistent, Trent Lavis. He can't seem to put a foot wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, and another great drive from him tonight, coming up the field as was required. So done a really, really good job. So congratulations to him.
That's it. Yeah, Race Control's actually congratulating him there as every single one of our drivers. Again, we had the pleasure of the company of Matthew Carter in the combox for race number 1 this evening, and I think the point of it we highlight some of the poor race incidents that do go on, but that's because it's interesting. When you look at the size of the fields, the amount of cars that are close together out on track, and the minimal amount of incidents that we've had over the entirety of the series thus far, I mean, you get one round, you get one Watkins Glen a year, don't you? You don't get a clean sheet every week of the year. There's one of them you've sort of got to sit down and go, all right, well, look, it's happened, it's racing. And we got that out of the way last week at Watkins Glen. But Jeff Connell, congratulations, mate, making your way up onto the top set of the podium this evening.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was a good fun night.
Did you get caught out there by the early finish? We certainly did.
I actually did in the first race. So with 2 laps to go, Jack passed me, and I thought there was 7 or 8 minutes, so I didn't defend too aggressively. But if I actually knew there was only 2 laps to go at that stage, I probably would have blocked a bit more. So it caught me out the first race, yeah.
Yeah, we certainly were expecting a race that was time certain rather than lap certain, and we actually thought it was just an error with the timing overlay on the broadcast. But turned out not to be true, as we said. Pulled rabbit out of the hat tonight with the pit strategy there. Got the undercut done and managed to get it done over Jack Boyd. You guys had a really close race throughout the evening. It was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it was so close. Like there was probably half of the lap where he was nearly half a second quicker, and then I'd be half a second quicker on the other half. So yeah, it was pretty close. I don't know if I had enough to pass him, so just made sure I didn't pit on the same lap.
And Jack,
do you think it would have been more interesting if you guys, given the slight difference in pit strategy, Jack was actually stopped for double the time that you were stopped, Jeff? Do you think it would have been more interesting if you stopped on the same lap?
To watch, yeah, definitely would have been exciting. We would have been going at it. But it was better for my heart rate just to go around by myself. So yeah.
Tell you what, Jack, it's one of the first times I've seen you this season with a rear wing in front of you to chase. Bit different tonight, having to hunt down Jeff Connell both in the first race, and you managed to get around him in the second race. He pulled the rabbit out of the hat in a pit strategy. So what's it like coming home second for a change?
Yeah, it's a bit different, but no, it's all right. We had an awesome race in the first race. Unfortunately, I made a little mistake and copped some grass, so had to pass him obviously late stages of the first race, and yeah, it was really clean racing, and also the second race was great as well. Unfortunately, I think I might have put some fuel in or something in the stop, which cost me a few seconds, but no, it was still great racing.
Oh, good to hear. And then finally moving on to Trent Lavis this evening. Mate, you just seem to be pretty much there or thereabouts every single time you pull that green and silver BMW out of the shed.
Yeah, mate, I had nothing for the boys tonight. They were on song. I could sort of keep up, but I make a little small error and then they just blow me away. So awesome job by the boys up front there. Kept it nice and clean. It was actually a pretty good position to watch from, actually. The boys having a good battle up there.
Do you have to keep the eyes now in the rearview mirror? Because Glenn Boyd wasn't that far away from you guys either right at the start of the race, probably about the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, Glenny was putting in some heaters there at the start. I was actually hoping he'd keep up and make a bit of fun out of it. But I think he made a little blue once or twice there and dropped back a little bit, dropped out of the toe. But it'd be good to have a bit of a battle with Glenn. He races hard and it'd be a lot of fun.
Jack, is it inspiring sometimes to see Glenn not that far down the order? And well, what I was actually thinking of was, did he pit early, tell you that there was a gap in the traffic, and then pulled you into the lane as well?
Yeah, he did actually. So I was like, his Sim's right next to me, so I was looking over to see if he's come out in traffic or not, to see what we could do with the pit strategy. So yeah, it was good to know there was going to be some clear air there and come in early and get the stop done.
Well, congratulations once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Jeff, any shout-outs for you this evening?
No, a bit of a one-man band with it, but yeah, thanks to the guys for putting this on. It takes so much time and effort to run something like this and try and keep 30 or 40 guys happy. So yeah, thanks to them. Thanks for you guys for putting it on.
Jack, surely there's some words to come out of you of thanks. Is it thanks to Glenn for the pit strategy then?
Yeah, thanks to Glenn for the pit strategy and making sure we've got some clear air. But as always, just a big thanks to all the supporters of Boyd Racing, Crystal Clear Audio and PZ Racing. Thank you, guys.
And finally, moving back to Trenton Laves, what's the shout outs for you tonight, buddy?
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to the guys that are organising this thing. They're doing a cracking job, as well as the DSOs. They're doing a really awesome job. And yeah, thanks to Skid Control, obviously, and the Right Sim boys for letting me sit under their wing in these races. And keep an eye out for us at Townsville next weekend. I'm about to go straight to bed, wake up at 4 a.m. and start making the trip north to have a run around the Townsville streets with the V8 supercars next weekend. So keep an eye out for us.
Oh, fantastic. What are you driving?
I've got a Nissan S15 Silvia, so I'll be in the North Queensland Super Sprint class, and hopefully I'll put on a bit of a show for you.
I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. It's good to have some real racing back as well to complement what we do here, so good luck with that.
Thanks, gents.
And that wraps up an interesting evening for us with some new stuff to cover, and certainly lots of really close competitive racing, which has been fantastic for us to have the privilege to broadcast. The series here off to Spa next week, a personal favourite, I think, of both of us. So definitely looking forward to getting there next Tuesday evening. And as usual, we have plenty to come this week with Ann's car on tomorrow night. Scotty running in that one, looking to improve on your good finish last week, and keep moving up in that field. And then we head on Thursday night back to the NZSR boys for their next round as well before IndyCar Friday. So plenty coming up, intertwined with some new PlayStation games finally coming out on PlayStation. And we've got a little bit of Madden to bring you later in the week when it finally arrives in the post. So plenty to come.
Tell you what, Stu, I think it was Project Cars 3 actually launched earlier today. I thought one of my friends was actually saying, so might even be some racing on the PlayStation to come your way as well.
Potentially. I do have... I've been spoilt because of the fact that I run a simulator to race on iRacing, and I can tell you I played Formula 1 the other day on PlayStation, and it just doesn't have the same feel now that I've been spoilt by using a steering wheel and pedals. Going back to using thumbsticks and buttons, so I may steer clear of the old car racing games and keep the PlayStation for those EA Sports titles that don't involve cars. But there certainly is plenty coming out at the moment in the video game world, which is good for those of us who want to participate in it.
I was going to say, well, if that's the case, how about we play a game on the PlayStation that does involve cars? You know what's a lot of fun? Rocket League. Or you could call it by its original name, Super Acrobatic Rocket-Powered Battle Cars.
Wow, yeah, I'm glad they didn't stick with that one, because it probably wouldn't have done much justice to the overall theme of the game. A little bit too complicated.
I'll tell you what else you get involved with, Stu, though I love seeing as well, because it's such a community favourite. It's Fall Guys. It's all there. If you like your place of pace, whether that be running up ramps, stealing tails, chasing cars around circuits, maybe spraying a few bits of dirt from the rear wheel of your dirt midget, as we saw earlier tonight for the first time, celebrating the 50th stream of FGM ECast. It's your place of pace. That's right, your premier place of pace, Stuart. I love it. I tell you what, every single time I jump in the booth here at FGM ECast, there's something exciting happening, and that's what I love about being here.
Yeah, mate, we definitely try and keep turning it up, that is for sure. And it is interesting that you mentioned Fall Guys, because we will have a stream of that coming to you from 5 p.m. tomorrow evening when Reese and I get back into Fall Guys. And do watch out for that. We have I believe the Hot Chili Challenge coming up as part of that broadcast, so I'm not looking forward to that bit of it specifically, but somehow managed to get roped into eating silly things while we play Fall Guys on live stream. So do watch out for that one. There could be any sort of repercussion as a consequence of doing that while we are on the air, so don't miss out on that, and jump in and see what you will see. That's it from us. I am Stuart Brown. I am the host here, along with my partner in crime, as always, Scotty Rankin. Thank you for joining me for another entertaining Tuesday night. I will see you on the track tomorrow. I will see you back in the comm booth on Thursday night for our shortest stream of the week. Just the midgely hour there for NZSR for their GT3 series. And looking forward to getting into that one. So we will catch you later on.
Well, I was just going to say, just before we go, don't forget, if you are interested in getting involved in potentially some oval-based racing shenanigans, the best place to grab those shenanigans is in the ANZSR Grand National Series. Only 15 drivers actually entered last week, but unfortunately, one of them was running with a connection issue. So if you're looking to get out on track, it's close. For 14 cars on track, the racing was phenomenal. I can tell you that much, and that'll be live tomorrow night.
Absolutely. We will be doing that for you all, and looking forward to bringing that one to you. So if you're looking for something to do with your Wednesday night, don't forget to tune in, like the stream, tell your mum, share it with everyone, and we will see you tomorrow night when we're back here again from 7:30, I believe. 5 o'clock, I should say, for Fall Guys with Reese and Stu. We will catch you then.